I
Do you
just have to
do
see how
pointy?
Sorry?
Maybe I want to do pointy.
No, you don't. No, it doesn't suit you. No, it doesn't look right.
Would you like to comment on my weight while you're having a...
Well, your shirt's a bit tight. Look, you can't catch that in camera. You asked me. I can see your belly button. It's fluffy.
All right. Let's get a news update at 9 o'clock, and we'll say good morning now to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. There's been a shooting incident in Derry, close to the border at Bridgend. A cordon remains in place at the junction of Coshquin Road and White House Road in the city after a man was shot in the lower leg at around 9:30 last night. He remains in hospital this morning. The PSNI say further details in relating to the shooting will be released in due course. The father of 3 children killed by their mother says they'd still be alive if our mental health policies were different. This day 3 years ago, Conor, Dara and Carla McGinley were killed by Deirdre Morley in Newcastle, County Dublin. She was found not guilty of their murders by reason of insanity. Their Donegal-born father Andrew is campaigning for changes to mental health rules.
If I knew what other people knew back from 2019, then Conor, Dara and Carla would be alive today. So family inclusion, and especially in the cases of children, protecting the children, it has to change. The other changes I'm looking for is I do believe that confidentiality should have been breached in our case.
A 32-year-old man is due before Cork District Court this morning following the death of another man at a hospital in the city. 89-year-old Matthew Healy died after he was attacked by another patient at Mercy University Hospital on Sunday. The man arrested has since been charged. He remains in Garda custody ahead of today's court hearing. Minister Paschal Donohoe will take questions in the Dáil later over his expenses from the 2016 election. The Public Expenditure Minister has been under fire since revealing he hadn't properly accounted for spending toward putting up posters. He did address the Dáil on the issue last week, but says he will do so again at 4 o'clock this afternoon. The Health Minister says the abolition of inpatient charges at public hospitals will bring Ireland closer to universal healthcare. There is currently an annual cap of €800 a year. It's charged at €80 a day. But Stephen Donnelly is bringing a memo to Cabinet this morning, hoping that the abolition of charges will be in place by April. He says the charges put an added strain on people who are sick.
The Irish Cancer Society have been advocating on this measure for many years, that people who are suffering with cancer, who are going through treatment, not only have they got to deal with all of that, but they then get hit with a bill. And we know, we've heard stories of hospitals retaining debt collection agencies to recoup this money, and it's something we just need to see the end of.
All 3 test centres in Donegal had driver pass rates above the national average of 53% last year. Buncrana had a rate of 58%. Both Donegal Town and Letterkenny saw 61% of applicants succeed. The state's lowest pass rate, 38%, was at Mulhuddart in Dublin. Ballincollig in County Cork had the highest at 75%. Editor of CompleteCar.ie, Shane O'Donoghue, says there's evidence of an urban-rural divide.
The potential theme that we're seeing here is that there's a disparity in terms of maybe a rural-urban divide. So some of the test centres in bigger urban areas seem to have a lower pass rate, whereas those in the rural areas, smaller populations, seem to have a higher pass rate. And I just wonder, is it just easier to pass in some areas than others?
Cloudier today with light rain or drizzle at times. Top temperatures 9 to 11 degrees Celsius. It'll stay mild all day. Light southwest winds, fresher near the coast. That's Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
I'll never forget the first time we arrived at our beautiful lodge.
Our cosy
base for the next week of fun.
We cycled through the forest for
hours and whooshed down the rapids.
Again and again.
And again. Remember when
Dad couldn't even hit the board at archery? And when the ducks wouldn't stop following our
boat? We'd never giggled so much.
It really was something special. And that's why we love
to go back.
Start your story today. Centre Parks Ireland. Family forever. Book now at centreparks.ie.
The county's #1 talk show. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And it is a very good morning to you. It's just about to turn 5 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 24th of January 2023. How are you keeping? I do hope you are well. I think this morning, probably the real first morning that it felt like the mornings were a little bit brighter, and you can see it in the evenings too. It just gives you a little bit of a spring in your step, doesn't it? What do you think? 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts open to that number. Heard in the news there about higher pass rates. We heard about lower pass rates for NCTs, but we've got higher pass rates in terms of driving test figures. Why do you think that is? We heard from one person there believing it a rural-urban divide. Is there any other reasons, do you think? Get involved in the conversation. Give us a call on 07491 25,000. Caroline taking your calls. Get engaged by watching us. Open up on your Fire Stick, the YouTube app, or on your smart TV. You can watch us on your big screen, Highland Radio Ireland. You can see most of our guests there as well, or Facebook Watch, or the Facebook app, dependent on whether you're watching on your Fire Stick, your smart TV, your phone, tablet, or laptop. No excuses not to be involved in the show. And also on our website, highlandradio.com. Click Watch Live there and watch in browser if you so wish. Right, let's look at the newspapers this morning, because we've a lot to squeeze in today for you. Let's kick off with the Derry Journal. Inishowen County Councillors are seeking a meeting with Donegal County Council to ascertain the situation relating to social homes in the peninsula impacted by defective blocks. At the recent Inishowen Municipal District meeting, Councillor Martin Farron said he understood there were something in the region of 1,000 properties in Inishowen impacted, and he proposed that the people dealing with this let us know what's happening. I'd like to get a presentation and for them to let us know where they are on this, because there's a lot of people living in council-owned properties affected by Micah, and they have the same level, not the same level, they have a certain level of uncertainty about their future and where they might be as well. So I think that's a valid call from the councillor there. The Donegal Democrat, the new Bishop of Ossory, St Johnstone, man Bishop Niall Cole, is urging Christians not to push God to the margins of life or to retreat into a holy huddle. He was speaking during his episcopal ordination, which took place at the Cathedral of Mary in Kilkenny on Sunday. It was attended by his family, friends and colleagues from the Raphoe Diocese. A skilled theologian, the 59-year-old arrived at third level in both St Patrick's College, Carlow, and St Mary's University College in Belfast. He worked with young people at secondary level in St Eunan's College, Letterkenny, and Pobbleskull, Narrasson. As a young priest, he also served as a curate in Dunloe. More recently, he has been the parish priest of both Drumhone, that's Ballintra, and Townawilly, Donegal and Clar. On to the Nationals now. We'll be speaking a little later on about the controversy surrounding the All-Ireland final on Sunday. That's the All-Ireland club football final. Kilmacrud, the All-Ireland saga rolls on for them, of course. The prospect of an official challenge from the Derry champions, Watty Graham's Glen, remains a distinct possibility. What do you think should be done in that situation? There are a couple of rules from the GEA rulebook that apply to this situation. There were 16 players on the pitch, 16 Kilmacud players on the pitch towards the end of that game. And Glen had a 45, and then you could talk about what's the advantage, disadvantage, and all that side of stuff, side of things. But the bottom line is the rules were broken. They had 16 players when they should have had 15, and quite helpfully, they've been counted pretty much in every paper today. Glen are in a sticky position, aren't they? Because to some extent, after the match, the manager accepted the results, even if there were 16 players on the pitch. But then again, you could also argue that the Kilmacud victory is tarnished somehow, but Glen don't want to seem like sore losers and make an appeal. But the GEA have two rules that kind of apply here. One, they could order a replay. There's other measures they could do as well. But what they've actually done is they've said we're waiting to see if there's a complaint from Glen. So it's a tough one, isn't it? It's hard to know what the correct outcome is to that. What do you think? 086 60 25,000. Also want your views on the news that public hospital adult inpatient charges will be abolished from April of this year under plans due to be approved by Cabinet today. Minister for Health Stephen Donnelly will seek Cabinet approval to draft legislation that would abolish the €80 charge. The abolition of the charges from April could save adults receiving inpatient care up to €800 per year. Patients are charged up to €80 per day with an annual cap of a maximum of 10 days or €800. And we've carried the stories here on numerous occasions. I think the debt collectors will be those most opposed to this, but it's good news, isn't it? Anything that saves someone who's sick or recovering from an illness getting a big bill through the post or a threatening letter, I think it has to be welcomed. The government last year abolished the charge for children under 16 as part of moves to reduce the cost of healthcare for families. Separately, Minister for Rural and Community Affairs Heather Humphreys will unveil details of a new €50 million fund for communities who've stepped up in accommodating refugees from Ukraine and elsewhere. All right, on to the Independent, and a lot of conversation about EVs and people changing their cars and how it's different for us in rural Ireland compared to urban Ireland. Well, support for motorists in rural areas to buy electric vehicles may continue while grants for all other buyers are scaled back. Zero Emission Vehicles Ireland, the state office in charge of promoting EVs, said, however, such a scheme would only work if there were safeguards against its abuse. How would it be implemented, though? I mean, obviously, you could say that you lived in Dunlow, but in fact, you spent most of your time driving your EV around Dublin. You could say that because you would get a discount on the EV. How will it be implemented? Is there any other example of sort of a different taxation, rural and urban? But anyway, head of ZEVI, Ziva, Aoife O'Grady, said she was looking at ways of providing targeted supports for rural buyers. I live in Dublin, but I have grannies in the country. Ms O'Grady said, I don't want a situation where you register a car at granny's address up a Boreen, but it's for driving in Cork, Limerick or Dublin. What a assessment of rural Ireland. You'd register the car up a Boreen. Grants for the purchase of new EVs are to be reduced from July and gradually phased out. But Miss O'Grady said she had a capped budget, and providing public money to continue aiding a product that was becoming more affordable and popular in any case would not be the best use of public money. She said EVs represented around 20% of the new car market, but would soon reach 30%, and before long would be 50%. I can't see a rural-only initiative being introduced because I just think it would be too complicated and they wouldn't want to do it. But we shall watch with interest. I think it would be welcome. On to the Irish Daily Mail, and a full security audit is needed in every hospital following the killing of an 89-year-old person, the Nurses Union has said. The Irish Nurses and Midwives Organisation has demanded a security review after the death of retired farmer Matthew Healy at Mercy University Hospital in Cork. The last such review in Irish hospitals took place in 1996, the INMO said. It's alleged a man assaulted Mr. Healy with a walking frame in the 6-bed ward at around 5:30 a.m. on Sunday morning. The incident has prompted fresh concerns around safety in Irish hospitals. And right off the bat, a number of you messaged in with your concerns about the level of security at our own local hospital. We have an inquiry in with the HSE just to find out what level of security is there at what time. As soon as we get that information to you, we'll bring it to you. I mean, a lot of these hospital sites are absolutely massive. You can't have a guard or security in every ward either. And it's hard to know. It's hard to know. Pascal Donoghue, this is the Irish Daily Star. Pascal Donoghue last night said he has dealt with sincerity and seriousness with all questions about political donations during election campaigns. You feel sorry for him, don't you? The Public Expenditure Minister is due to make a second statement in the Dáil this afternoon regarding political donation payments made to him during elections. It follows the revelations made during a statement last week that Mr Donoghue committed an error and failed to disclose electoral postering work done by him for him by a businessman, Michael Stone. He's chief of a company called Designer Group. The bottom line is today what happens is he gets up and he makes his statement, and unless the opposition, Sinn Féin or whoever it might be, unless they land a body blow, unless he's asked a question that he struggles to answer, it'll all be done and dusted today. You'll not hear much of it again. The only way that story continues, really, unless something else is revealed, is if he struggles to answer any questions this afternoon. And if he gets through today, that's the end of it. That will be the end of it. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But then you see, in terms of business in the Dáil tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, the opposition then could not be seen to continue at it. Do you know what I mean? They're going to have to move on to other things like health and housing and other really important things that affect everybody's everyday life. They can't continue this beyond today. So unless they manage to land a political punch, so to speak, he struggles to answer a question, it's done today. Unless I'm wrong. If, however, he struggles or he says, I'll have to come back with further questions on that, it might continue. But as I say, the country as a whole, I think will want more serious matters that affect us and affect people's lives discussed in the Dáil from tomorrow onwards. But anyway, we'll see how it pans out. That's just my read of it. The Sun tells us, as do many papers, a judge ruled yesterday there is sufficient evidence to return for trial 8 men charged with offences linked to the murder of Lyra McKee. The journalist was shot dead in 2019 in Derry, as we all know. Following a 2-day preliminary inquiry hearing at the Bishop Street Courthouse in Derry last week, District Judge Ted McGill said, "I'm satisfied that there is such evidence." Mr. McGill had been asked by defence barristers to reject the prosecution's identification and video evidence, but yesterday he said such matters could be raised with the trial judge. 2 of the men returned for trial: Jordan Devine, 22, from Bishop Street, and Peter Kavanagh, 34, from Elmwood Terrace, deny murdering Ms. McKee. And finally, on to the Irish Daily Mirror this morning. And a business group representing publicans has warned government plans to make it easier to get a bar licence will kill rural pubs. The Licence Vintners Federation, which has 4,000 members in the capital, claims governmental liberalisation of licences will lead to pubs on every corner in major towns and cities, while more rural pubs die off. Yeah. I don't understand here. I think they're kind of using rural pubs as an excuse to limit competition in the cities. LVA Chief Executive Donal O'Keefe yesterday branded the government plans unwanted and ill-conceived. A spokesperson for the LVA claimed the government has decided to effectively liberalise the pub market from 2026. It claims this will happen as the value of many of these premises will evaporate overnight. The LVA made the claims yesterday before it is due to meet politicians today at the Joint Oireachtas Committee on Justice. Now, I don't know exactly how all of this works, but there's an awful lot of pubs have already closed down in rural Ireland, and I suspect unless the cities are buying up these rural licences to operate in cities, I don't see what difference liberalising the laws might make. I would imagine there are, if rural licences have to stay in rural Ireland, I presume now there are way more licences than there are pubs, right? Now, I'm not sure if they can be transferred into cities or not. But I'm a bit suspicious why city-based publicans might be worried about rural pubs when really what it's about is further competition for them. I don't know. Do you have an insight into that? 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps or texts, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000.
The 9 to Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, home of genuine Toyota parts and accessories at Port Road, Letterkenny.
Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure have all the equipment you need to get fit this year. Add to your home gym collection from the new range of weights, skipping ropes, resistance bands and exercise balls, with free next day delivery on orders over €85 at michaelmurphysports.ie.
At Holland & Barrett this new year, you can buy one, get one free on hundreds of your wellness favourites. Mix and match across the vitamins you need, including many top brands you love like Star Power and Viviscal. Plus get even more with free personalised advice from one of our qualified advisors, so you can find the right wellness solutions for you. Don't miss out. Shop our buy one, get one free in-store online now. Holland & Barrett. Wellness that's worth it. Ends 31st of January 2023. Selected lines only. Cheapest item free. See our website for full T's and C's.
Hello, Hill 16 Insurance. How can I help you? Up the dubs.
Hi. I am looking for a home insurance quote.
Righto, and what part of Dublin do you live in?
I don't actually live in Dublin.
Right. Do you lease a part of dubs?
What? I'm just looking for home insurance.
Well, you're going to have to keep looking, pal, because Hill 16 is Dublin only.
Get the feeling that your insurer doesn't want you? At Local Insurance, we understand your needs. Call today for a bespoke quote or find us online at localinsurance.ie. Local Insurance, we'll get you sorted. The Local Insurance Network, DAC Trading's Local Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Local Insurance is a tied insurance intermediary of Acorn Brokerage Limited. Acorn Brokerage Limited, trading as Acorn Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
This January, staying in is the new going out. At Kelly Centre, Mountain Top, we've mega deals in fresh, healthy, ready meals range with great deals in our award-winning off-licence and winning offers in fresh meat and produce. Kelly Centre Mountain Top 2022 winner of the National Forecourt Retailer of the Year.
Banish those January blues and get ready for the big one. The sensational Joe Dolan Show, Remembering Joe, starring 5 vocalists and featuring the Dolan family. Coming to the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Buncrana on Friday, February 10th. Tickets on sale at hotel or book online, showtours.ie. Make a ticket the ideal Valentine's gift.
Okay, so quite a few of you following, obviously, the awful, sad and tragic of events in Cork. We're curious as to level of security at Letterkenny University Hospital. So, as I promised yesterday, me and Caroline inquired on your behalf, and the answer is this. Letterkenny University Hospital have security based at the hospital on a 24-hour basis, 7 days a week, of course. 2 security guards are on duty at any given time throughout the day and night. So they have 2 on 24/7 is the answer to that question, if that's helpful to some of you. Right, students are considering putting off going to college because they simply can't afford it. If you're in this situation, please let us know. 086 60 25,000. That is the view, by the way, of the Union of Students of Ireland. It follows new figures which show 600 students asked St Vincent de Paul for help last year. The charity spent €2 million on helping students with fees, accommodation and commuting, which is very good to hear, but unfortunately they have to do that. Rosa Glacken is president of St Vincent de Paul in the Northwest region and joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Rosa. How are you keeping?
I'm very well, thanks. Good morning, Greg. Good morning to your listeners.
And it's lovely to have you back on. Right, okay. Any surprise to you with this news coming from the Students of Union of Ireland from a Northwest perspective?
No, and I'm very glad that they highlighted this because we have seen this for quite some time, and the increase year on year in the level of stress and lack of finance for students. And we have had an ongoing campaign, with the government to increase the grants, raise the level at which they access the grants and so on. We've had some success. There was a slight change in the budget regarding registration fees and some of the support under Susie. But Greg, what really would concern us, and it was highlighted yesterday, are the students who are just outside that threshold to receive grants. And I'm sure many of your listeners will identify with this. So basically, families who just don't qualify for the grants, they are in severe financial difficulty. For starters, the students have to pay their registration fee, which is substantial. It has come down somewhat, but it was 3,000. Then, as you mentioned, after that, you have accommodation and maintenance fees and travel to and from. And I mean, here in Donegal, students are travelling from quite a long distance if they're not staying locally. Again, cost of travel and so on, and the fees and other things I have mentioned. So yes, there is a huge demand and it's rising.
Yeah, and the cutoff is, there's always going to be people just outside the cutoff, but this cutoff is I think it's disadvantageous for the country because there's people who can't do extra work because if they do extra work, for example, take overtime or work during the summer, depending on their job, then they can't apply for the Susie grant. And then there are those who simply can't send their students to third level, and particularly the way this country is going in terms of the level of the level of qualified students we'll need. It's counterintuitive from the state to me that you have people could be the brightest brains of our future not going on to third level. It doesn't suit everyone, I understand that, but not going on to third level because families with both working parents often simply can't send their students to university. As I say, it would be in the government's interest to ensure as many people can get to third level as want to.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Education is so important. As you say, there's trades if people want to follow that route, but people who want to go and get a degree leading on to employment, it's so important that they get that opportunity. And one of the things I found most upsetting in recent times would be where students have come to us and they've struggled through maybe 1 or 2 years with maybe 1 or 2 to go, and we're considering dropping out because it just couldn't afford it, or the families couldn't. And the other aspect of it is students at one time, would have summer jobs or weekend jobs to support themselves very successfully. And that's not as, available as it was.
But even though if they do that, that's counted towards, I believe, the income in the home.
Yes.
So if they
correct.
do go out and work during the summer, that has to be counted in your SUSI application, which again, they're trying to do the right thing to have a few quid to get them through the winter at college. But it's disadvantageous because it can put them over a limit for the family to be able to avail of a SUSI grant. Again, that doesn't make sense. You're discouraging people from trying to help themselves.
That sums it up. Yes, absolutely. And as you say, it's so disappointing for those who have the ability to go out there and become whatever their dream is, and yet they can't access their course due to lack of finance.
Now, Rosa, you were able to help quite a number of students in Donegal last year. You actually have those figures for us, I think.
Yes, we have, Greg, an education committee which looks after the whole region. But locally, the conferences, if they can afford to help a student, they will do so on the ground. We reckon we would have spent between 120 and 130,000 last year assisting students. But just remember, that's third level only. You could double that then, because, as you know, from the beginning of the school year is our second busiest time for demand. Overall, education is a huge spend for us at the moment, but it's so important that it is a priority.
And do you find that you're helping students who manage to get, registered in college and then find themselves struggling, or are you able to actually facilitate people going to third level, or is it a mixture, Rosa?
Yes, it's a mixture of those, Greg. It just depends. It's a case-by-case basis, obviously. We do have strict criteria, and they need to show that they have applied as much as possible for whatever funding may be available to them. And we usually meet the students and discuss their needs and look at how best we can help. But we do our best to help as many as possible that we can afford to.
And this is why supporting St. Vincent de Paul is so important, isn't it? Because, this is the type of stuff that the organisation does, that it's only when, we got this release from the Students' Union of Ireland that we invite you on, and then we can understand that I think it's 22 odd students were assisted. Actually, in fact, it's a total of 62 students were assisted in Donegal with a cost of over 130,000 euros. So that's when people are supporting and donating to St. Vincent de Paul. It's making a big difference to a lot of people. That's a lot, because that's not just the students you're helping there too. That's mums and dads and guardians that maybe a little bit of pressure's been taken off them as well.
Oh, absolutely. That's a very important aspect of it. You're quite right. And as well as that, some of the families have more than one student. Now you can imagine the financial pressure of that. So obviously we'll be very sympathetic there as well. And the best we can do, as you say, is depending on how we are supported. But again, I would have to say, as always, the public in Donegal are still extremely generous, and our shops around the county are doing extremely well also, and they're a great source of income for us.
Right. How can people best support St. Vincent de Paul, Rosa, while we have you on?
Well, people who donate to our shops or come in and support our shops, that's very important. If they wish, they can make a donation to us online at svp.ie or drop a donation into either a shop, or if they know somebody locally involved with the society, people are very good that way.
Okay.
And some of us have resumed Churchgate collections as well.
Right, so bring your cash with you. Thanks, Rosa.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Take care of yourself. Lovely to see you again. Rosa Glacken, President of St. Vincent de Paul in the Northwest region. A total of 62 students in Donegal helped last year with their college fees. That's students being forced to turn to charity and their families in order to continue their education, so then they can qualify and contribute to society. It doesn't make an awful lot of sense to me that they should have to do that. But anyway, as I say, if you're affected by that, contact us in confidence, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. We had a message in that read as follows. Hi, Greg. Just wondering if your listeners know that those Letterkenny gift cards reduce in value by €2 every month if not used inside a year. I think this is very unfair, as those who gifted the cards did so in good faith, and they should not lose their value. Now, this was a big controversy in terms of gift cards, not LK gift cards, but gift cards over the years, and new legislation was brought in. So you get the full value of the gift card for a year, and then after that, they reduce in value. And we got on to the Chamber just to get a response from them to make it absolutely clear for everyone. This is correct. The terms and conditions are on the back of the card, and we have a notice in our office where the majority of cards are sold. This is normal practice in the industry, and we implemented this when we had to change the expiry. Up to December 2019, Shop LK cards had a 1-year expiry date, so the card would stop working after the anniversary. The government decided that they no longer wanted expiry dates, so we had to change our cards along with others in the industry. Our Shop LK gift card is operated by a third-party company, AML Trading. When we had to remove the expiry date by law, we wanted to ensure we kept a system with no charge to the purchaser of the cards and no commission charges for the outlets. Other well-known cards in the market charge 9% on purchases with a card. This was the other model we could have moved to, and we would have lost many of our independent outlets as a result. So at least when you spend your Shop LK cards, well, not at least, because it's a very important part of it, you get full value and the retailer gets full value. And that retailer, of course, is the same retailer that employs our children and sponsors our football teams and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't use it after a year, it's docked €2 a month for an administrative charge. On the face of it, personally, I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's terrible, to be honest with you. But obviously the original listener, not happy. All right, back with our next guest in just 2 minutes.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
When you need help with natural gas or LPG appliances or pipes, don't take any chances. Stay safe and always use a registered gas installer for installation, servicing, repair or removal. Otherwise, you're putting yourself and others at risk and breaking the law. Find a registered gas installer at rgi.ie.
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
Green Shoes' big winter sale is now on with massive reductions. Up to 50% off across your favourite brands, including Echo, Tommy Bow, Kate Appleby, Una Healy and many more. Green Shoes at Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre and in Fulcara. Or shop online at greenshoes.com.
Stylish nights and memorable delights await at radsligo.com with our fantastic January sale. Escape it all with 25% off B&B stays and enjoy a well-deserved breakaway. Indulge in afternoon tea overlooking Sligo Bay, relax with a treatment at the spa, enjoy a delicious meal in the Brasserie and Waves Bar, or surround yourself with the best of Sligo's outdoor pursuits right on your doorstep. 25% off sale ends 31st of January. Book now at radsligo.com.
Have you an account with Ulster Bank or KBC?
Yeah.
Do you get a social welfare payment into your account?
Yep.
Your bank is leaving the Irish market.
Yeah, that's right.
Have you switched to a new bank and updated your new account details with the Department of Social Protection?
Updated?
You need to let us know your new account details to ensure you continue to get your social welfare payment. The quickest way to update your account details is online at mywelfare.ie.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Right. I mean, as you'd be aware, plans to upgrade the A5 were announced in 2007, but have been delayed amid funding issues, legal challenges. And according to Enough is Enough, 44 people have since died on the road. The proposed upgrade would improve the road between Ochnacloy in County Tyrone and new buildings in Derry. Kate Corrigan is mother of Nathan Corrigan, who tragically died in a collision on that road in December 2021. Kate, thanks for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome.
It must be. Well, I don't even know how to attribute an emotion, Kate. But I think we can all accept that this road needs to be upgraded. That it's incredibly dangerous. You know more than anyone how dangerous it is. It's incredibly frustrating, the delays.
Yeah, it is very frustrating, and unfortunately, with all the delays, it's just costing lives. I live in Gilbahy. I have been living there all of my life. I'm a local resident, and so I have first-hand experience of both. Unfortunately, losing Nathan has been the most horrific experience ever, and we've just had his first anniversary there at the end of December, and along with his two wee friends, Tilly and Peter, that also died in the accident. And the GAA campaign, Enough is Enough, and absolutely, they're quite right. Enough is enough. Now is the time to take action. The upgrade needs to go ahead. It's a priority to protect and save lives. And the loss and devastation that my family and the other families involved in our accident, not to mention the families who have all lost loved ones on that road, the pain and loss and devastation that you endure and have to endure now for the rest of our lives it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and we,
it's just,
we use the term accident and it rolls off the tongue, and I understand that. But one of the factors in any collision is road conditions. There's driver error, there's the condition of the vehicle, and there's road conditions. Now, we've established that this road contributes to collisions. So, in other words, almost using the phrase accident is giving whoever is holding this development up a pass, if you know what I mean, because it's clear that the condition of this road is contributing to the awful loss of life and it's so recent for you, Kate, losing Nathan. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it can't go on. Something has to be done to make this road safer.
No, it really can't continue. The high volume of traffic on the A5 has just increased year on year, and it's just not fit for purpose. There's huge amount of HGV lorries travelling on it at all hours of the night, and it's their only pathway from the north, from Ochnacloy direction down through to Derry. And there's heavy machinery, there's engineering work, there's rural traffic, all mixed in with local people trying to access the side roads, and it's just not fit for purpose. The local people are aware of the pitfalls and the dangers and the junctions that they need to be watchful for and all of that. And I'm not saying that other people are not watchful, but it is. It's the road condition, it's the makeup of the road and the volume of traffic that's expected to travel on it. There was recent road work done there at Kelly's Inn at the junction along where Nathan's accident happened, and within 5 minutes of temporary traffic light systems being set up, the tailback of volume of traffic is just staggering. It could be tailed back 3-4 miles, and if you actually stood and looked at the variety of the traffic that was in the queue, it's staggering. And it's a matter of life, to preserve life and for the upgrade to go ahead.
Yeah, and I think this intervention from the GEA, their A5 Enough is Enough campaign, I think it adds really strong weight to it. But I think really it's indicative of the loss of life and serious injury that an awful lot of people have been affected by, not least former Tyrone player Kevin Hughes, his brother and sister. He lost them in separate crashes. We also heard too on the launch from Peter Canavan. He grew up along the A5, so he knows himself too. I'm sure he knows people that have been seriously injured or killed on this stretch. Do you hope that this intervention will progress things, Kate?
Absolutely. As a bereaved parent and bereaved families, all we have is hope. And we can only hope that this will make a change. It will spark off interest, raise awareness, and for the people in positions of power to sit up and take stock of what we are saying. Nathan was our son. He's just not another number. He's just not another statistic, as no family member is. And, we have lost him out of our lives forever. And we have to live with that, unfortunately. But having a campaign like this, where it's driven by passionate people and heartfelt stories and real experiences, is a very positive thing. And I think it's great that the GAA are spearheading it. They have a great following, they have great influence, and I just hope everybody gets behind them and supports them in whatever way they can. If it's sharing their posts and things like that on social media and whatever. And hopefully people in positions of power will get together and they will move forward with it.
Yeah, and Kate, you make a really good point there, because people often think, well, what could I do? Well, with the power of social media now, all you have to do is find the posts, share it, copy in a politician that might have some influence on this. Do you know what I mean? People can have an influence now, and social media is giving people that power. So no longer can we say, well, there's nothing I can do. We can do something.
Oh, we can, surely. And I never thought I would ever be speaking at a public event for any occasion. But we have to stand up now, and we have to say, and we have to tell our stories, and we have to give our support. And as you say, social media, like, share, do whatever you can. There's avenues to put in representations to the upcoming another public inquiry to do with it. In fact, if you Google A5 Western Structure, I think something like that, you can get your voice heard on those platforms as well. So there are ways for people to show their support, and I would just appeal to everyone to do that. What I'm doing and what we're doing as a family, I can't change the outcome for us, unfortunately. But if it makes a change and helps prevent another accident, another fatality, it needs to be done. Yeah. And you're right in what you're saying. It's the impact, like Kevin Hughes told his story about losing his brother and sister. And my heart was just breaking all over again. I couldn't imagine what it's like to lose two children. And Peter Canavan, witnessing or being there at the scene of an accident 40-odd years ago, has stuck with him. There was a little lady, Mrs. McGarvey, had been killed as she crossed over from the Kelly's Junction. For 5 years, my two sisters were sitting in Kelly's car park or Kelly's forecourt, and they witnessed her accident happening. And it's the long-term impact of all of that has on everyone. Has on us directly,
hundreds
obviously.
and hundreds and hundreds of people directly affected by it.
It just ripples out. It ripples out the emergency services, the first people on scene, the first responders, the priests who have to come to administer the last rites. It's the fire crews. Everything. Everyone is impacted, and that doesn't just go away within a week.
And I would say there's very few roads that have for so long been identified as being so dangerous that since they were identified as being so dangerous, there's been such a loss of life that there are solutions there to end it. And in fairness, I think, the Irish government has committed its funding, and I'm sure it would be forthcoming if they could get through some of the planning issues and the legal challenges. But I can't imagine there are many other examples, anywhere else where we have the problem. We've known about it for so long. There's this incredible loss of life, and we have the solutions if we could just get the diggers on the ground, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, it's basic. Yeah. That is it. The solution is there. It's all being passed. It's my understanding, and I'll stand corrected. The political parties have all agreed to this. They've all signed up to this. Everybody is in agreement that this needs to go ahead. And there's a small group of objectors who are lobbying the courts with laws that are in place to protect the environment or to safeguard the quality of air and things like that. And that's what's stopping this from going ahead. And they have a hefty team of legal advisors behind them who are in positions to lobby the courts with these laws. But from my take, and from any family or anyone who has lost anyone on the roads, none of that should really matter. It's human lives that matter. It's human lives that count. All those other factors, yes, they may have, a place, but however, nothing can take precedence over human lives. And I mean, I'll continue to lobby for the upgrade to go ahead. Nathan can't stand up for himself now, unfortunately not. The other boys, Piggy and Peter, are the same, and anyone else who's lost their lives, but the families that are left putting their lives back together again, we are the voices for them now. And as I said, I hope everybody gets behind this campaign and does whatever they can, and not to feel they can't. Everybody can contribute in some way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Listen, Kate, I'm sorry for everything that you're going through.
Thank you.
Having gone through, it's everything you've gone through. I mean, any of us, I don't think you have to have children, but I think when you do have children, you try and put yourself in the position you're in, Kate, and it's an impossible one. And for you to be able to speak publicly and so bravely is so impressive. And you're doing Nathan so proud, and the rest of the family, I'm sure, as well. Kate, thanks very much for
Thank you so much.
helping us let people know. I really appreciate it.
Not at all. Thank you for your time as well, and
Thanks,
your lovely
Kate.
comments. All the best.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Kate. That's Kate Corrigan there, who lost her lovely son, Nathan. Anniversary just passed in December 2021. He, along with two friends, those lives, along with 41 others, have been lost since an upgrade was announced for the A5. That's 2007. That's a lot of people. That doesn't mention the serious injury. That doesn't mention, as Kate quite rightly, and it just goes to show it in her own grief and what she's gone through, recognising the impact this has on emergency services, on the clergy, on witnesses. It's remarkable for Kate for what she's gone through, to see that all and to be able to express it so well. We appreciate her time. Look out for the posts. It's the GEA are backing it. It's the A5 Enough is Enough campaign. As I say, and I said to Kate there, we wonder sometimes, well, what can we do? Well, you can tag people in it, you can share it, and it doesn't cost you anything, but you can be contributing to that cause.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
Are you ready to experience something extraordinary? Cultural gems in Croatia, ancient temples in Asia, art in Italy. See more with Travel Department. Pick a destination and we'll arrange everything. Flights, accommodation, excursions, expert local guides, and all that planning. For guided group tours to dream destinations and savings on all holidays if you book before February 3rd. Go to traveldepartment.com. Travel Department. Let's see more. Terms and conditions apply.
Something extraordinary is happening across Ireland. First-class rivals are being forged as first-class teammates. Inter-county foes as friends. And old opponents are choosing to have each other's backs. Top club and county players lining out in college and university jerseys to play, challenge and win together. Electric Ireland is proud to sponsor the Camogie Third Level Championships.
Hi, Gavin here from iMotors. With an unbeatable range of pre-owned vehicles available, there's only one place to visit, and that's iMotors. Call into our showrooms in Malin and Letterkenny. We have Donegal's largest selection of pre-owned vehicles, from starter cars, family cars and luxury cars. We are your one-stop car shop. Visit imotors.ie or visit us in Malin or Letterkenny.
Don't just do okay in your career. Do great at Allstate. Don't settle, soar. Don't procrastinate, innovate. Don't do mediocre, do magnificent. At Allstate, great work, great life, great people. Where great opportunities await. Search Allstate NI Careers today.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Lanzarote, Mallorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, let's look at the weather forecast then for today. And I can tell you right now that a cloudy day. It'll be a cloudy day with light rain or drizzle at times, mainly around the coast, which is us. Some patchy mist or fog lingering in more sheltered parts too. Mild with highest temperatures this afternoon of 9 to 11 degrees. Now, President Michael D. Higgins, he's called for homework to be banned He's given hope to a new generation of students that the bane of their after-school evenings could be scrapped. President Higgins argues that this would make time for young people to engage in more creative pursuits outside of school hours. The former Arts Minister believes that school activities should end at the school gate. When asked what his opinion of homework, President Higgins said, "I think myself really that the time at home and the time in school is an educational experience and should be finished at the school, and people should be able to use their time for other creative things like Fortnite and Call of Duty." Well, he never said that, but anyway. Anya Lynch is CEO of the National Parents Council Priory. Good morning to you, Anya.
Good morning.
I suppose, we've discussed this as many programmes have over the years, and it really is, whatever about the students, it's a bane for parents. But I suppose it's about what's right for the students, and we have, if we were to eliminate homework, every action has a reaction, so we'd have to see then what the outcomes might be a little bit further down the line and what could be achieved in school that's not being achieved at home. It's not just as easy, I presume, as saying, right, no more homework.
No, well, I think one of the difficulties we have is even when we use the term homework, what do we mean? So we don't really have a standardised view of homework, and we don't have a standardised view of what the purpose of homework is. And I think that, that really underlies one of the problems with homework, that what one child is getting for homework in sixth class could be very, very different to what another child in another school is getting, or even in the same school. So I think we need to look at what we feel the purpose of homework is. We do know that it can have positive effects. I think what President Higgins was saying is really interesting, because that sense of that children should be doing something more creative at home really does, I suppose, give an indictment on homework as how it's seen as not creative. So I think homework can give us a real important link between home and school, but I think it also gives us an opportunity, particularly for children who may struggle in school with that kind of very formalised learning, to apply some of the learning that happens in the school in that formal way into a kind of a real-world experience. So how do we apply some of the mathematics or the science that children are learning in school in a real way within the home and the community? And I think they're the kind of opportunities that we would like to see homework take place with.
Yeah, my concern about homework, it's not the pain in the backside that it is, I think, for a lot of people. It's how fair it is, because, it depends, I think, an awful lot whether the student can work independently of everyone in the house. If they do need a bit of support at home, whether or not the parents are available or have time or have the ability to help at home. I think all of that being done in the school is more equal, because hopefully teachers are able to spot more where people might need more help. I just think when you send everyone home with the same homework, it's never going to be treating all of our children equally or fairly, I don't think. That's my concern with it.
I think that's a fair point, and I think a lot of schools try and differentiate with homework, so children in the same class might get different more of the same that they did in the class. You're pointing out a really important issue, that those children that could do it in class, homework's fairly boring for them. The children who couldn't do it in class, it kind of reinforces the fact that they're unable to do it. So it doesn't really serve any child well. But I think what we can do is look at how homework, I mean, whenever we talk about homework, we often talk about how long should they be spending on it. That really does send red flags straight away. It's a chore and a task that has to be completed by both the child and the family. But what we need to do is maybe not concentrate on the length of time children are spending on it, but the activities that they're doing and the richness of the activity that creates that kind of learning through things that they've very formally learnt within the classroom, but applying it to home situations and how that can maybe be fun within the family and not that chore that has to be done.
Yeah, because also too, dependent where you are, you could have a student that lives next to a school, gets up at 8, has breakfast in school, home at whatever time, 4 or something, but then there are other students there could be up at 7 o'clock, even before that, to get a school bus or to get a run in with mum and dad, or mum or dad, and then not home till 5 or 6. They put the bag down, maybe have something to eat, then the books have to come out for another hour. I don't think that's a workload I don't think would benefit an adult, let alone a young person. And also, too, I understand what you're saying about how, homework can be tailored to each individual student. I'm not really quite sure that that's that happens, though? Is it? I mean, just do there's no formula for it. I mean, you're relying on having a good teacher there, aren't you?
Well, I think the fact that you say there's no formula for it does get to the heart of some of the difficulties we have. Every teacher individually has to develop homework for their class. And, we're talking about trying to develop creative homework that links the home and the school and applies formal learning to informal situations. And I think we need to, considering the amount of time that children spend on this and considering the amount of time that families invest in this, and sometimes the conflict and the friction that it causes within family, I think we have to do better than that. I think we have to look at it in a standardised way and give teachers real support in what kind of homework that they can give that we know is effective, that we know is supportive of children's learning, and we know that works. And I think there's a prime opportunity coming up in terms of the fact that the primary school curriculum is being redrafted and reimagined. And I think, the amount of time that is being put into the time that children spend in school learning, some of that should be put into, what kind of things can link this with the home, and that then teachers get more of a support around setting, really effective and impactful homework.
What about someone might make the argument that, we want the path of least resistance now in every element and aspect of life, that if you want to do well, you have to do the graft, and maybe the process we have at schools at the moment weeds out who is going to achieve and who might need to find an alternative way of their life, not necessarily going down the educational route into third level. It's not my view, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, and I think that argument would be fair if we had the evidence to show what was making a difference and what wasn't. Mm-hmm. And in national and international studies, we have some of that, but there isn't enough research into the kind of activities that children take home to do that make an impact. So just grafting at homework for grafting's sake with no sense of the fact that this is useful or impactful doesn't seem fair on children's time, and it doesn't seem respectful of children's time or families' time, in fact. Okay. And one of the things that we do know is that when parents are involved in children's learning, they do better, and we know that from decades of research. But what we're doing in a lot of families is setting up that parental involvement to be a very, very negative experience. Where it's nagging and cajoling.
It's very frustrating if you can't help. It's very frustrating because and also too, there are some speak out. I think the majority of us, just endure. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's good for mums and dads and guardians, and I don't think it's good for the students either. All right, Anya, listen, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it this morning. Take care of yourself. That's Anya Lynch, CEO of the National Parents Council Primary. Loads to come on the 9 till noon show, including Community Garda information. That's coming up after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 to noon show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. Test drive Ireland's best-selling hybrid electric range at our showroom, Port Road, Letterkenny.
I hear you some wiring needs a fixing, ma'am. The name's Buzz, on account of my work.
No chance.
Not all cowboys ride horses. All safe electric registered electrical contractors must give you a certificate of completion that shows their work meets approved standards. Find one nearby on safeelectric.ie.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
The huge January sale is now on at Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Get 2 pair of jeans for €70. A selection of shirts, knitwear, jackets and suits at half price. Great discounts on top labels like Superdry, Penguin, Mishmash, Remus, Umo and more. Don't miss out on big savings in the January sale now on at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why.
The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €40 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Letterkenny Live, your new weekly free newspaper across Letterkenny and the Finn Valley. packed with news, sport, property, motoring and community news. Pick up your free copy today.
Choices we make determine where we're going. Where will your choices take you? Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles and join the thousands of Irish swap diesel for Toyota Hybrid Electric, lowering their emissions and fuel costs. We've Ireland's widest hybrid electric range, including the Toyota CHR and Yaris Cross. Don't miss out. Order today at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning. It's 10 o'clock. Donal Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. The father of 3 children killed by their mother says they'd still be alive if mental health policies were different. This day 3 years ago, Conor, Dara and Carla McGinley were killed by Deirdre Morley in Newcastle in County Dublin. She was found not guilty of their murders by reason of insanity. Their Donegal-born father Andrew is campaigning for changes to mental health rules.
If I knew what other people knew back from 2019, then Conor, Dara and Carla would be alive today. So family inclusion, and especially in the cases of children, protecting the children, it has to change. The other changes I'm looking for is I do believe that confidentiality should have been breached in our case.
There's been a shooting incident in Derry, close to the border at Bridgend. A cordon remains in place at the junction of Coshquin Road and Whitehouse Road in the city after a man was shot in the lower leg at around 9:30 last night. He remains in hospital this morning. The PSNI say further details in relation to the shooting will be released in due course. 600 students sought help from the St Vincent de Paul Society last year, 62 of them in Donegal. The Union of Students in Ireland says it clearly shows the increased financial pressure that students are facing, particularly for families that fall just outside grants thresholds. Rosa Dlacken is president of the St Vincent de Paul organisation in Donegal. On today's 9 till noon show, she told Greg this is an issue of growing concern.
For starters, the students have to pay their registration fee, which is substantial. You have accommodation and maintenance fees and travel to and from. And I mean, here in Donegal, students are travelling from quite a long distance if they're not staying locally. Again, cost of travel and so on, and the fees and other things I have mentioned. So yes, there is a huge demand and it's rising.
The Health Minister says the abolition of inpatient charges at public hospitals is to bring Ireland closer to universal healthcare. There is currently an annual cap of €800 a year. That's charged at €80 a day. However, Stephen Donnelly is bringing a memo to Cabinet this morning and hopes that the changes will be in place by April. He says the charges put an added strain on patients who are already sick.
The Irish Cancer Society have been advocating on this measure for many years, that people who are suffering with cancer, who are going through treatment, not only have they got to deal with all of that, but they then get hit with a bill. And we've heard stories of hospitals retaining debt collection agencies to recoup this money, and it's something we just need to see the end of.
A 32-year-old man is due before a court in Cork this morning following the death of another man at a hospital in the city. 89-year-old Matthew Healy died after being attacked by another patient at Mercy University Hospital on Sunday. The man arrested has since been charged and remains in Garda custody ahead of an appearance before Cork District Court later today. Meanwhile, in answer to questions raised with Letterkenny University Hospital by Highland Radio in the wake of the Cork incident, Letterkenny University Hospital has responded they have security based at the hospital on a 24/7 basis. 2 security guards are on duty at any given time during the day and night. Minister Paschal Donoghue will take questions in the Dáil later today over his expenses from the 2016 election. The Public Expenditure Minister has been under fire since revealing he hadn't properly accounted for spending toward putting up posters. He addressed the Dáil last week and then agreed to do so again at 4 o'clock this afternoon. All 3 driving test centres in Donegal had pass rates above the national average of 53% last year. Buncrana had a pass rate of 58%. Both Donegal Town and Letterkenny saw 61% of applicants succeed. The state's lowest pass rate, 38%, was recorded at Mulhuddart in Dublin, while Ballincollig in County Cork had the highest pass rate at 75%. The editor of CompleteCar.ie, Shane O'Donoghue, says the figures suggest there is a rural-urban divide.
The potential theme that we're seeing here is that there's a disparity in terms of maybe a rural-urban divide. So some of the test centres in bigger urban areas seem to have a lower pass rate, whereas those in the rural areas, smaller populations, seem to have a higher pass rate. And I just wonder, is it just easier to pass in some areas than others?
Looking at the weather forecast, it'll be cloudy today with light rain or drizzle at times, mainly around the coast. Some patchy mist or fog lingering in more sheltered parts as well. Mild with highest temperatures this afternoon, 9 to 11. Light southwest winds, fresher in coastal areas. Tonight, cloudy with patchy rain or drizzle slowly clearing, leaving some dry intervals before a band of more persistent rain and drizzle sinks south over the region later tonight. Overcast skies tonight will keep temperatures mild. Lows of 6 to 8 degrees Celsius in light to moderate southwest winds. Cloudy with patchy rain and drizzle at first tomorrow, and lingering rain will clear as southwest winds turn northwesterly, leaving a mix of cloud and some sunny spells. Highest temperatures on Wednesday, 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, the 24th of January. The death has taken place of Patrick McLaughlin, Carol Blah, Glentoher, Carndonagh. Removal from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny this afternoon at 2 o'clock, going to his daughter Sadie Donaghy's residence at Nohead, Muff. Removal from there tomorrow evening at 5, going to the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh, to repose overnight. Requiem Mass on Thursday morning at 11, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. The house is private, please. The death has taken place of Bo O'Donnell, 20 Dunkeld Avenue, Derry, reposing at his home from 2 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral from there on Thursday morning at 20 past 11 for Requiem Mass in St Columba's Church, Longtower at 12 noon, followed by interment in the city cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the Foyle Hospice, care of Quigley Funeral Directors, Strabane. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live on churchmedia.tv. The death has taken place of Robert Robin Mackey, house strictly private, please. Family and friends welcome to pay their respects at W.J. O'Brien and Sons Funeral Home, Eglinton, this evening from 7 to 9. Funeral service in Nohead Presbyterian Church, Muff, tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, followed by interment in Muff Parish Churchyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to Nohead Presbyterian Church, care of Mrs. Hilary Smith, Ishkaheen, Muff. The death has occurred of Anne Harkin, Altahalla, Clonmany. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to St Mary's Church, Clonmany, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Ash Ward, Buncrana Community Hospital, care of any family member, or Comiskey Funeral Directors. House private, please, from 12 midnight. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Paddy McGonigal, Anna Clonmany. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30, going to St Mary's Church, Clonmany, for Requiem Mass at 2 o'clock, followed by interment in St Michael's Church Graveyard, Urris. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to St Columkill Village, Clea, Clonmany, care of any family member, or McFeely Funeral Directors. Paddy's Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Rose McLaughlin, 44 Lisnara Road, Dunnamana, formerly of Lochash, Dunnamana. Funeral from Quigley's Funeral Home, Strabane, this evening at 6 o'clock, going to St Patrick's Church, Killena, Dunnamana. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the Donaghady Parish YouTube channel. The death has taken place of Angela Fiorentini, Belvedere, Caronaff, Moville. Her remains are reposing at her nephew Paul's residence at Carnagarve. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:30 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Pius X Church, Moville, with burial afterwards in the family plot in Ballybrack Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to Nazareth House Fawn Patients Comfort Fund, care of any family member. House private, please, from 10 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. Funeral Mass can be viewed live at movilleparish.com. The death has occurred of Mamie Boyle, née Macaulay, formerly of Monsell's Road, Taylor's Hill, Galway City, and Arranmore Island. Requiem Mass this morning at 11 at St Joseph's Church, Presentation Road, Galway. Funeral after Mass to Rahoon Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Poor Clare's Nuns Island, Galway. Mass can be viewed online at mcnmedia.tv. And the death has taken place of Kathleen McClintock, Malinard, Convoy. Her remains are reposing at her late residence, which is strictly private, please, to family only, at the request of the deceased. Funeral from there this afternoon at 1:15 for 2 o'clock funeral service in Convoy Presbyterian Church, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member, or Terence McClintock, funeral director. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
I'll never forget the first time we arrived at our beautiful lodge.
Our cosy
base for the next week of fun.
We cycled through the forest for
hours and whooshed down the rapids.
Again and again.
And again. Remember when
Dad couldn't even hit the board at archery? And when the ducks wouldn't stop following our
boat? We'd never giggled so much.
It really was something special. And that's why we love
to go back.
Start your story today. Centre Parks Ireland. Family forever. Book now at centreparks.ie.
The county's #1 talk show. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. Community got information on the way, by the way. That's coming up for you shortly. But some of your comments here. There's far too much homework at secondary level. There's little to no time for anything in the evenings, and it spills over into the weekends. There's no job that would expect you to have a full day at work and then come home and work again a few hours. And I think an interesting point was made before 10, in that, you know, students who are well capable, it probably bores them. They're probably doing stuff they already know. And for those that might struggle a little bit at school, it's incredibly frustrating and time-consuming. It really is. It's inefficient, isn't it? My daughter's school relies so much on the use of phones for their work, so they're on the phone so much. The art of communication and conversation is gone, believes the caller. There's a concerned citizen here looking to make people aware, particularly around Lifford, that a number or group of male immigrants arrived in Ballindrate overnight on buses to reconditioned homes. They say, they talk about where the refugees are from or immigrants are from. I'm not sure. They're concerned that they're not women and children, that they're men. It's not the only place. I think there was a Lower Main Street, Letterkenny. There was a bus pulled up last night with people seeking refuge here. So it's not just Lifford, Letterkenny as well overnight. And we're already getting some people concerned as it relates to the pressure on services here, that it's already, people already struggle to access services, and that this could make the situation even worse. Let's see. Also, we were talking yesterday about a lady who had a really high electricity bill. Her house is really well insulated. She's got a water pump, a heat exchange pump, whatever it's called, solar panels, smart meter. And she got a bill for November, December for $590. And the caller says, you should not let anyone install a smart meter as you cannot avail of a cheaper rate of electricity. We had that one yesterday as well. Caller says her husband was sent to Ballykelly for surgery, has VHI. The surgery was covered by the VHI, but the hospital requested the x-rays done in Ballykelly also prior to the surgery. They were then sent a bill without being made aware that they would have to pay for it, and were told that it was not covered by the VHI as it was through outpatients. Can they request x-rays without advising that this is an additional cost? Back to the electricity. I wonder, does this lady send in her meter readings? I send my reading in every 2 months because by law, the ESB is only entitled to read meters once a year. Listeners, please send in your own readings. It works for me. on estimated bills, there are people who've started sending in readings and it didn't work for them. So it's one thing I'd be a little bit cautious of. Air to water uses more electricity, so the bill will be higher. But the thing is this lady had air to water for the last 2 years and there wasn't an issue. The bills were really quite low. It was only in November and December of this year. But maybe are the motors working harder because it's colder? Greg, the back of Argo Road is in a serious mess. A lot of debris from tar and chips loose. Could be a bad accident, says another listener there. Good morning, Greg. Perhaps you or your listeners may be able to shed some light on the scene of the explosion in Creasla over 3 months ago. What happened on October 7th last year has had a devastating impact on our community and in particular on those who lost loved ones. The forensic examination of the site has been completed. The Garda cordons have been removed. The road has been reopened and life has returned to a different kind of normal. The site itself is surrounded by a wooden hoarding and, for the most part, is not visible to passing traffic. However, approximately 1/3 of the original building looms large above the wooden surround. The macabre view is of a building that has the appearance of having been sliced down the middle. The interior of rooms with furniture and pictures hanging on the walls are clear for all to see. How can the community move on if they have to view this unsavoury sight daily and indeed multiple times daily? I've not been impacted directly by what happened on that awful day, but I can only imagine how this grim view must hurt the families who've lost loved ones. Why, when the rest of the site has been levelled, is this portion left to stand? Can the healing process begin in earnest while this remains the case? And we got that in via email. All right, back with more after we take a break.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday, the 24th of January. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S17. It's game number 4. The numbers are 45, 35, 14, 70, 8, 33, 52, 71, 53, and finally 80. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why.
The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated 40 million euro. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
The 9 to Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can now test drive the newest member of the iconic Corolla family, the Corolla Cross Hybrid Electric SUV.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
Okay, 17 minutes past 10 on this Tuesday, the 24th of January 2023, and it's time for the latest edition of Community Garda information. We're joined in studio by Garda Grania Doherty of the Letterkenny Garda Station. Good morning, Grania.
Good morning, Greg.
Good to have you with us. Thanks so much for calling in. Right, I suppose we'll get straight into it. And you're looking for the public's help in relation to a criminal damage incident in Letterkenny.
Yeah, this incident happened at the Grange in the early hours of Wednesday, January 18th, so in and around between midnight and 7 a.m. So the driver's window of a car in that area was smashed. The ignition of the car was tampered with. And so we appeal to anybody who lives in that area. They may have seen or heard something between those hours, or anybody who may have travelled through that area between those times who had a dash cam or who noticed any suspicious activity, just to make contact with us in Letterkenny on 9167100.
Now, your colleagues in Ballyshannon investigating an incident on the Nather Road in the town.
Yeah, and it's a rather unusual one, yeah. So this criminal damage incident happened at a private residence on the Nather Road on Tuesday the 17th at approx in and around 7 p.m. So the wires to a CCTV system at that residence were cut. So again, we're appealing to anybody who may have travelled in that area in and around 7 p.m. on Tuesday the 17th of January. if they had a dash cam, that would be of great benefit to us if they could drop it into the station and we can go through the footage then ourselves. So if anybody can assist with this investigation in any way, we ask them to contact Gardaí in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530. The confidential line as well, Garda confidential line, can be reached as always on 1800 666 111.
And as far as we know, the criminal damage was the cutting of the wires of the CCTV.
Cutting off the wires, yeah. The power was just totally cut off to the CCTV system. So it's a rather unusual incident, and we're eager to get to the bottom of that one.
Right, I can imagine. Gardaí investigating a road traffic collision in Buncrana now.
Yeah, this happened on the St Mary's Road there in Buncrana on Thursday the 19th, in and around 10 to 10 at night. So a car was attempting to turn out of a parking area onto St Mary's Road. They had intended on turning on out towards the Cockhill Road, but when they were turning out, they were struck by a quad. It was coming along the St Mary's Road in the direction of the Cockhill Road also. So damage was caused to the car. Now the driver of this quad didn't stop. They continued onwards on their journey. The driver wasn't injured, luckily and thankfully for that, but damage was caused to the car. So we appeal to anybody who witnessed the incident itself, or if they've seen this quad in and around the town environs, we would appreciate if they would contact Gardaí in Buncrana on 932 0540. And again, with every appeal, we're appealing for dashcam footage also. If
it's just a standard part of the appeals now because it's such a useful tool for the Gardaí.
It is, of course, yeah. So if anybody captured this quad bike on their dashcam footage, we would ask them to contact the guards in Buncrana also.
So, of course, I mean, it's in and around the time. You don't necessarily have to have captured the incident itself for it to be useful to the Gardaí. Not
at all, no. Just if they captured the quad in any area within Buncrana town. And also, just on that note, just so, and we have mentioned this before, for drivers off quads, and look, they're mostly used for agricultural purposes, but to use a quad on a public road, it's the same regulations really that apply to any MPV, a car, a van or otherwise. You know, that has to be registered. You have to be fully insured. You have to have the appropriate licence to drive it, taxed. It has to be in a roadworthy condition, and you have to be wearing a helmet also. So just to make people aware of that, reiterate that message this morning also.
Okay. Criminal damage incident at St Connell's in Letterkenny.
Yeah, so this Gardaí discovered this car, damaged car. It was a silver Toyota Vitz, partial registration 09WH, and it was in at the rear of St Connell's Hospital. And it's quite a secluded area in there, you know, and at the very back of the old hospital. So this was discovered at 5:45 a.m. on Monday the 23rd of January, and quite significant damage was caused to the front bumper of the car. The driver's side window was smashed, the ignition was damaged, and it was actually removed from the car also. So we appeal to anybody who had been in and around that area and around St Connell's Hospital, the grounds of it, if they noticed any suspicious activity in or around those grounds between 1:30 a.m. and 5:45 a.m, to make contact with Gardaí. A patrol of the grounds had been conducted in and around 1:30 a.m. and the vehicle hadn't been there at that stage. So we have a time frame for it arriving at that location. So if anybody thinks they may have captured this car in question on their dashcam footage again in or around the environs of Letterkenny at any stage in the early hours of Monday morning, again, we would appreciate if they could make that footage available to us also.
You know the owner of the vehicle?
Well, the registration of the vehicle is there, all right, but inquiries are ongoing.
Oh, right, that's part of
that is part of the fuller investigation.
Okay, get you. Right, okay. We heard a bit yesterday about these community engagement meetings.
Yeah, and I know, look, we're becoming quite repetitive about these meetings that were being mentioned now last week, and I know Sergeant Wallace was on yesterday about it also, but we just wanted, it's a great opportunity. I feel it's a great opportunity for members of the public. We would often receive, you know, correspondence from members of the public in relation to maybe issues that are happening in their area that matter to them, you know, and they wanted to bring it to the Guards' attention. This happens on a regular basis. These meetings are a great opportunity for Gardaí to meet their local community, members of their local community, and we want to hear from them. We want to hear what their issues are, what they feel, you know, that the Guards should be concentrating, you know, the areas that they should be concentrating on in their local area. It's also an opportunity for us to go through the new, I know Sergeant Wallace went through this with you, the new policing plan, and he will offer crime prevention advice and home security advice also. So community policing Gardaí from the local areas will be in attendance at these meetings also. So it's going to be an open forum. You know, members of the public will have their say at these meetings also, and that's what we want. We want to receive the feedback from them. You know, we want to hear their opinions and their concerns. So the first meeting actually took place in Lifford last night. Now, they were very pleased with the turnout at last night's meeting, and we thank everybody who came to last night's meeting. So the two further meetings are due to take place. The next one is actually this Wednesday, coming Wednesday the 25th. That will take place in the Finn Valley Centre in Stranraer at 10 a.m. Then Monday the 30th, so next Monday, in the Station House Hotel at 7 p.m. So we invite everybody to come along and to have their say, and we look forward to meeting them there.
Right, okay. It's almost like playing whack-a-mole with the scammers, isn't it? Because as soon as we've sort of tried to make the public aware about one scam, then another one pops up. But this is off the back of a contact made to the Gardaí by a member of the public.
It is. And so, look, we mention scams quite often also, but often it's the same type of scams that we're discussing. So this member of the public approached us this week, and he actually requested that it be mentioned on the radio slot this morning to make others aware, because it isn't a new scam. It has been on the go for quite a while, but some members of the public might not be aware of it. So this man received a Facebook message actually from somebody who was purporting to be his friend. You know, a fake profile had been set up. They requested that he buy Amazon gift cards and to forward the codes on to him in exchange for cash. So this man was unable to buy the Amazon gift cards, but he did go on to buy Apple iTunes gift cards for the amount of €400. He sent a photo as requested of the codes on the gift cards to this person who had been conversing with him, as he thought it was his friend. You know, he thought it was someone he could trust. So as soon as these codes were sent to that Facebook profile, that profile was deleted, leaving this man at a monetary loss now. So it's not a new scam, you know. Gift cards scams often begin by pressurising victims into buying a gift card. Scammers trick their victims into revealing the gift card number and PIN, and then these scammers immediately redeem the gift card. They gain their confidence by pretending to be someone else, such as a government employee, a family member, or a romantic interest, or, as in this case, a friend. So a fake profile is created and contact is made. So it's an anonymous, nearly impossible, this type of fraud is impossible to reverse. It gets immediate results. Fraudulent charges and credit cards can be cancelled, but gift card charges aren't, and they can't be. So paying with a gift card is like paying in cash, and once that's gone, once you've given that code over, that's gone for good. You know, you're at the loss. So we just want people to be vigilant, and listen, if they receive a similar type of request to purchase gift cards, just stop and think, ask somebody else's advice, ask somebody's advice.
But
come
you see,
to
the
us.
problem is, and this is why it's so clever, is that people that you're close to or you see regularly on Facebook, their profile picture is familiar.
Yeah.
And it pops up in Messenger. Then if you want to check who they are, you have to click it, then you have to go into profile. And, do you know what I mean? So you can see how people fall for it. And these fraudsters, they can have 2,000 of these open and communicate. They only need 2 or 3. And they've made 1,200 quid.
Of course. And if
and it's so easy for them.
Yeah, and if you receive, and yourself or myself, if you receive a message from somebody who you know is a friend, you're familiar with them, you converse often with them, it's not something really you do. You don't go into their profile to check.
No,
is it a scam page? It's just, you're not going to do that.
You wouldn't say, what, is that a different face you're wearing today? You just accept it's them.
You would accept it's them, yeah. But it is a rather unusual request, really. You know, even if a friend of mine messaged me and it was them asking me to send them on €400 or €500 of Amazon gift card codes, they'd be told no.
I was going to say, anyone who knows me, if they were looking for a €10 top up, they'd be wasting their time.
A flat out no.
But this gentleman, obviously, they're preying on people's generosity and trust, and we just unfortunately have to check ourselves, which is sad, because you have to check what makes you a good person.
Yeah.
That generosity and that helping a friend out, and it's kind of sad, that side of it as well. But look, we have to try it in as much as we can, save people from these scams. And there's other scams going around on Facebook at the moment that they're not scams in it from a Garda perspective at this time, but there's an awful thing going at the moment where people are sharing fake missing persons or fake missing dogs or what have you, and people's goodwill, they share them. They're generally in buy and sell pages, and if you look at them, they're clearly frauds, but they get sent and circulated, and then what happens is they change the profile and change the message in the post, and it's been spread all over Facebook, and a lot of it is to exploit people.
Yeah, there's often an emotional element to it. You see them as well. Maybe I found this dog, he's badly injured, and they've up a photo of a dog, poor dog, maybe with a bloodied leg, and we're eager to find the owner. But when you notice those buy and sell pages, that's where they post these scams too. But there's never an option to comment. It's always, like or share, but they don't For good
so
reason.
they edit that post then that's been widely shared, or the page, but generally the post, and it's a scam generally. It's about bitcoins, but it's a friend of yours that shared it.
Yeah.
So if I trust you and you've shared a missing dog, right, that post then might appear to be invest in Bitcoin, but they've got you to share it, and that makes me sort of...
That's the aim of their
I
game,
wouldn't trust you anyway, but anyway. No. But and another thing too, people, because they also try and exploit our nosiness. You haven't been hacked or cloned. You opened Messenger and it says, look what I found, and you click the link. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's so tempting to do so because sometimes people think it's about them. And once you do that, they're able to access your private information. So
yeah, and it's coming to the stage where you're too afraid to click a link on anything now, you know, whether it be a messenger, a text message, you know, and that generally would be the advice. It's the safest way to go, you know, and in relation to all scams, and we were repetitive in relation to this also, but just we do, unbelievably, there still are a vast amount of people who are clicking the links within text messages. They are.
Of course.
And we've received notifications recently too in relation to the, it has been mentioned before, but in relation to these HSE scam messages.
You've been a close contact.
You've been a close contact, you know, to order tests or, you know, we need further information and you have to click this link. And the HSE have made it clear that they will not send out messages like that, you know.
We have a package for you, but you have to pay such and such. Now, that's kind of complicated because sometimes you do get contacted. But again, because there's been a massive move to online sort of digital scamming by criminals.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
You know, they're throwing an awful lot of knowledge and resources in this area because it's kind of hard now to scam someone in real life. Do you know... someone used to go up and say, you know, I'm stuck, can I get money for a bus or something? You know, it's hard work. You have to stand out. You have to do it face to face.
Yeah.
This is easy for them.
It is. And you know, funny, that the Ampost scam or any delivery company, it was on the go a lot during COVID because people were ordering online a lot more. But I got a recent message from, I think it was Ampost, to say, it wasn't from Ampost, but they were purporting to be from Ampost, to say that you know, there's a customs charge due on, and I'm ordering all the time online, so you don't know, you start to doubt it. You wonder, have I a charge to pay? But there was a link contained in that message, so I didn't click the link anyway. I ignored that one. But about a week later, I got a message from An Post to say that there is a customs charge due in a package that you've ordered. But I just noticed within that text there was no link contained in that text. Right. It advised me to go to the An Post website.
Ah, okay.
And to input my track and details and that. So then I did do that, and it turned out there was a genuine charge that had to be paid. So I would say just any text message, don't click the link. That's it. Just end of story.
100%. Now, unfortunately, it's ever. It's all round, all year round now. You know, dog attacks and dogs worrying sheep and other animals. But obviously, I think particularly we're coming into a period of time now whereby, you know, this is people's livelihood, their income, and an awful lot of effort and money being spent to, you know, breed sheep, raise sheep. You've a warning about preventing sheep attacks here.
I do. We received a recent report actually within the Letterkenny area of sheep that had been attacked by a dog, and a number of those sheep are still missing actually, and one of them was quite badly injured. So we just want to remind dog owners it is going to be coming in. It's near the end of January now, and lambing season is going to start very soon. So just to remind people, you know, of the harm that their pets can cause if they allow them to roam free and unsecured and they're not kept under effectual control. So with dog ownership comes responsibility. Secure your dog, have it microchipped and registered with your vet. And, you know, lambing season, we're going to see every year, we do see a surge in attacks on sheep. So that's what we're trying to prevent, that really. We're just trying to advise people dogs should not be allowed to roam. So we're asking all dog owners, keep their family pet, you know, under effectual control.
Yeah. And that also applies to people out having a nice walk with their dog, because the dog barking at the gate or whatever can also worry and trouble sheep as well.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it's not just the dog that escapes at night or whatever. Because, you know, people can end up with very hefty bills if it's found that their dog's responsible. It's not just the lovely wee pet that's turned into an animal, which it is anyway, but you know what I mean? There can be quite a hefty sanction as well. All right, Grania, thank you.
No problem.
All right, thank you very much indeed. That's Grania Doherty there, Letterkenny Garda Station. Don't forget, you'll be able to rewatch this appeal back on our social media a little later on, and on the Garda Síochána Facebook page, which is a useful tool now for the Gardaí for helping spread information, Grania.
It is. Actually, do you know what? Just when you're on that note as well, I will stop now in a minute. I won't keep talking on you. But
go on ahead.
No, just on that note as well, I would just like to ask people that people do regularly message our Facebook page via DM. And that's okay, there's no problem. You know, if they have a general query, there's absolutely no issue with that and the query will be answered. But I would ask people that if they have a matter of urgency to report, not to DM our Facebook
it's not
page.
Always monitored.
It's not monitored.
It's not
it is monitored
response.
regularly, but just not 24/7.
Okay,
and if they want an emergency response, contact, you know, the 4 district headquarters, or as always, in the case of an emergency, contact 999.
Yep, I think that's sound advice. Okay, we'll be back with more after the break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 to Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can care for your car with Toyota Relax, giving you a year's warranty with your service. Terms and conditions apply.
Má tá tú ag iompar cluine, tóirí de vaccíní flu agus COVID-19 an breisiú atá ag teastáil do chóras na mínachta chun tú a chosans na mína macróin. Déadú an flu agus COVID-19 a bheith mar cúis le tinnas trom chúiseach agus tú ag iompar cluine agus cabhróid de chuid vaccíní leat tú féin agus de lenah a chosans. Cár crunne vaccíne de lista de rudí atá le déanamh agat, nó leir le de chuchtúir nó le de bhean cabhrach. Tuilleadh eolas ag hsc.ie ó aimimanacht na Searbheise Sláinte.
Glenswilly GAA present a 25-car drive in the clubhouse this Friday night, the 27th of January, starting at 7, with €1,500 in prizes. This ad is kindly sponsored by Boyle Construction.
Like to eat well and get healthy size savings? Then you'll really like our Aldi Savers offers with up to 43% off, including Coco Loco coconut oil, save 43%, now only $1.99. Ballymore crust sandwich tins, save 25%, now only 89 cents. Specially selected Irish pasta sauces, save 19%, now only $1.49. And tasty healthy soups, save 13%, now only $1.99. I don't like it, I love it. Aldi, everyday amazing.
If you don't like waiting, then the new Citroën C5 Aircross SUV is the car for you. That's because the C5 Aircross is available now, so you really won't have to wait at all. And ironically, with its advanced comfort technology, best-in-class boot space, amazing finance offers and 5-year warranty, it would definitely be worth waiting for, if you had to wait. Which you don't.
The new Citroën C5 Aircross SUV is in stock now at Highland Motors, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
As the exclusive sponsors of the Donegal Sports Star Awards, Donegal County Council take this opportunity to wish the committee every success with the 2023 awards ceremony, which takes place on Friday night, the 27th of January, in the Mount Errigal Hotel. Tickets for the awards can be booked by contacting the Mount Errigal Hotel on 074 91 06 700.
Right, we're joined on the 9 till noon show now by Senator Lorraine Clifford Lee of Fianna Fáil. Senator, good morning to you. Thanks very much for joining us today.
You're welcome, Greg. Good morning.
Right, now you are calling for the urgent need for a review of the laws that criminalise the concealment of birth. So for those who may not be aware, who have not heard this described in those terms before, what is the concealment of birth? What might typically happen?
It's a very complex area and there isn't a lot of data on this, Greg. So it occurs here in Ireland, it occurs internationally, but a concealed pregnancy would be the first point, and women conceal pregnancies right up to birth and only disclose on birth, or conceal pregnancies for a significant amount of the pregnancy, and maybe at a later stage, maybe that the pregnancy is discovered, or that they come forward and seek medical assistance,
or after they've birthed the baby, it could be found abandoned, or in some cases we've had awful cases and involving younger people as well, where they've managed to conceal the entire pregnancy and the baby died during or shortly after birth, and the baby's remains are then found, and they're instantly criminalised.
That's right, and you know, and you mentioned young people there. It's not necessarily just young people. Concealed pregnancies and concealed births happen right across the age spectrum, from all types of backgrounds. But what is a common feature in concealed pregnancies and concealed births is a serious history of trauma, neglect, abuse, sexual assault and early childhood sexual abuse. So I suppose it's, like I said, it's a very complex area. But what happens is without any appropriate medical support during a pregnancy or during a birth, it can lead to very, very poor outcomes for the baby itself and for the mother. And there have been several cases. And currently, the law in Ireland stands that criminalises a concealed birth. So if a traumatized woman conceals her pregnancy and conceals the birth, she faces criminal conviction. And we've seen a very recent example of very poor outcomes and a woman being convicted and sentenced.
Other than a person being convicted and sentenced for this, what would changing the law achieve? Like, do you think there'd be any other effects in it doing so?
Yeah, I mean, the law is very outdated, and a trauma-sensitive interdisciplinary approach is required. And the public perception of the issue of concealed pregnancies and concealed births are shaped by our laws, and quite often the stigma around concealed pregnancies and concealed births prevents women coming forward, and women who conceal their pregnancies are often described as being maybe mentally ill, of low IQ, or criminal or deviant. And the evidence suggests, Greg, that's far from the case. Women of every age group, every background, rural, urban, and of different educational standards and IQ, unfortunately conceal their pregnancies and conceal their birth. So I think as a starting point, if we changed the law and got rid of this completely outdated Victorian law, you might have more women coming forward and seeking the help they need, and even following a concealed birth. As you can imagine, the history and the trauma. Like you're talking about.
You could be incredibly distressed. You or the child could be in danger, but because you are afraid of being criminalised, you might actually not come forward or not seek help for either you or your child, depending on its status when born.
And as you can imagine, there's going to be a lifetime of trauma associated with the concealed pregnancy or a concealed birth. And it's imperative that the women get the support they need. They're treated by medical professionals that understand the issue of concealed pregnancies, that they deal with Gardaí, social workers, and everybody that they come into contact with actually have a deep understanding of what propels a woman to conceal her pregnancy or conceal her birth. Quite often, a hallmark of these women, they're in oppressive family situations, they're coercion, control, violence. Quite often,
they may well be victims themselves.
Yeah, and that's the point I want to get across. And I think we in the Oireachtas owe a duty of care to the women to firstly deal with the criminal aspect of it. And if a woman has concealed a birth, and sometimes there's unfortunately very dire consequences for the baby, that trajectory is understood, and she is treated as a victim, as you said, Greg, and that she isn't criminalised, and that everybody can come together and support the woman to make sure it doesn't happen again. And I think, even the way concealed births and pregnancies are reported in the media has a negative effect on women who are currently concealing their pregnancies. There could be women listening to this show today, Greg, that are concealing their pregnancies, and they are fearful of what's going to come.
And these people can be victims during pregnancy. Then they can have the trauma of the birth, and then to imagine then that the state then continues to treat them as victims or actually imprisons them. So in other words, the state continues this oppression of them, if in a way, if you know what I mean. It seems unfathomable, really, that there's not nuances there or some understanding to make sure that we're not compounding a very difficult situation already. Finally, Senator, you have a direct line, really, I suppose you could say, to the Department of Justice. What kind of feedback are you getting on your representations?
Well, it's an issue that I'm going to continue to work on this week, and I will be speaking to all the relevant ministers, to the Taoiseach, to the Taoiseach, to the Minister for Children and Youth Affairs, because Tusla play an important role in this and providing foster support and adoption support. The Minister for Justice, first and foremost, needs to establish a task force urgently to deal with the issue of neonaticide and infanticide, and have that distinction there, and make sure that we approach it and get rid of our statute books. And Greg, I'm always, every January, I always think of Anne Lovett, who gave birth alone on the 31st of January 1984. So it's coming up to the 39th anniversary of her death and the death of her baby boy. And I hope next year, on the 40th anniversary of Anne and her baby's death, that we don't have this law on our statute books. And that's what I'm going to be working with colleagues to take it off the statute books, and then approach it from a health perspective and a trauma sensitive perspective, and have all the stakeholders involved, so women are not treated in such harsh conditions, and really, really cruel Victorian approach to what is a sensitive medical and trauma issue.
Okay, Lorraine, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it. Take care of yourself.
You're very welcome.
That's Senator Lorraine Clifford Lee of Fianna Fáil.
The 9 to Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. Test drive Ireland's best-selling hybrid electric range at our showroom, Port Road, Letterkenny.
At Ulster Bank, our team is continuing to close current and deposit accounts, along with some of our branches. At this time, if your notice period and your deadline has passed, your account is now queued for closure. All personal and business account deadlines are fast approaching. You must take urgent action. If you are still relying on your bank account and in need of more support, please contact us immediately. Visit ulsterbank.ie, your local branch, or call 0818 210 260. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Visit Sensory Complex for a perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring sensory play. We have lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Sensory Cinemas, we're showing kids' movies, comedies, action and adventures, dramas and more. Get in touch on 074 9121976 or visit sensorycinemas.ie for more information.
If something's free, why would you turn it down? I mean, a free haircut from a 5-year-old. Oh, no. Or a free sample of onion paste. Oh. Well then, how about a free tour of your neighbour's new shed? Oh, that sounds, well... OK, look, they were bad examples. But how about a free eye test and free glasses from the €69 range at Specsavers with your PRSI? Well, that sounds like something to smile about.
Book an appointment or find out more at specsavers.ie.
Order. There's a lot to be said for it. Not the restrictive, always play by the book, straight down the line kind of order, but the order you place for a brand new 231 Audi. An order best placed having experienced true progress with a test drive at your Audi dealer, where you will also get advice on the options available to ensure owning your 231 Audi is as straightforward as possible, which is proper order. Visit your nearest Audi dealer, where future is an attitude.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Salah, Ninnis, the Beatles. You can now fly to Liverpool 8 times a week with Ryanair this summer. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
All right, let's have a look at the weather forecast then for today. A cloudy day with light rain or drizzle at times, mainly around the coast. Some patchy mist or fog lingering in more sheltered parts too. Mild with temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees and light southwest winds and a little fresher along the coast. Right, okay. We're going to continue our conversation about homework, and we're joined on the programme now by historian and, importantly, teacher in this context, Dr. Joe Kelly. Good morning, Joe.
Mighty good Greg, agus the luck déisteachta. Good morning to yourself and to those all out in Highland Radio.
So is the jury out from your perspective on whether we should do away, you're hardly going to go against the president here, Joe, should we do away with homework, at least in its current form?
Well, it's interesting that your introduction to me, you know, that I was a teacher. I'm also a parent, so I see both ends of it. I'm trained as a teacher to understand the development of kids' brains and how they, you know, to maximise education and how to use resources to their benefit. And at the same time, then I'm sitting at home doing homework with my own children and understanding the challenges they have. There is a question, obviously, about the purpose of homework, the quality of homework, the quantity of homework. There's certainly that debate, and it's a good debate. Giving homework for the sake of homework is not necessarily a beneficial thing, and maybe he is opening up that debate. But I think he's misguided in his statement in thinking that by saying that it's the bane of children's lives, and he suggests maybe the scrapping of homework. Education and homework isn't as such an exercise to complete for the sake of completing it. It's about developing independent thinking within the child. When a child is at school or a student is at school, they're being instructed and shown how to think, how to work, and how to do things. When they go home, it's an opportunity for them to develop themselves, their own independent thinking.
Do you think so? Do you think the homework, though, is designed? I mean, that sounds like what it should be, and it sounds like. But do you believe that across the board that's how homework is designed? I mean, are teachers putting in that much thought, or are they just saying, "Look, do question pages 13 and 14, or just write an essay about such and such, or whatever"? Like, as I say, it sounds like what you're talking about sounds fantastic. Is that actually what's happening, though?
Well, then the question then maybe what the president should have said is like, what kind of homework are we given, rather than we're going to scrap or suggesting that we get rid of it. It's a totally different debate. And I hear what you're saying. And look, I think most schools have a school policy on homework and purpose of homework. And I can speak on my own situation. We have a very strict, coherent policy on homework. And again, if you, for example, 9 classes kids have a day, and then to go home and do 9 pieces of homework, that's not possible. I mean, a person's working week is 40 hours. A kid's at school 28 hours. So if they do 2 hours, that's them above the 40 hours of a working week. So, I mean, that's madness. But homework should be something that reinforces the learning that's already taken place to some degree, and also allows them to expand. But there's something more fundamentally important about homework other than just doing an exercise. It's the development of their brain physiologically, that you're putting down train tracks in their heads.
Yes, I accept what you're saying, but
you can't put that down when they're adults.
Yes, but can you not do that in the 28 days in school? Maybe we can adjust how we can adjust how we operate our schools, and allow within the 28 hours that you talk of the space for that creativity. There's what we're achieving at home could be achieved within those 28 hours theoretically, because you say 28 hours, but Joe, yourself, you can add on an hour and a half getting to school, an hour and a half getting back, and that 28 hours doesn't belong going above the 40 hours of a worker. And
extracurricular activity that could be involved, drama, learning lines, or they could be doing some kind of art, etc. Absolutely. And students, are trying to be fully alive, and that's the purpose of a school, is to try to enable children to become fully alive in whatever way they are alive. But at the same time, one has to be careful. Our education system is very challenged at the moment. Student ratio, teacher-student ratio is very high. We have 70,000 Ukrainians in Ireland now, and that's putting an effect back into our schools where there's language problems, etc. And teachers are having to deal with students in their class with these difficulties. And we can't expect the education system to deal with all this. Is the president saying, look, don't worry about your education, the schools will just look after that, and we as parents have no responsibility at all?
But if my child's struggling, if my child is not struggling, is having difficulties at school, is behind the rest of the class, they're sent home with homework that they can't do. And then I'm not, this is just an example, by the way, rather than always referring to other people. I'm not saying it's the case. I'm not then equipped to assist with that. So you've got a frustrated student, you've got a frustrated parent. The parents just come home from work, it's 6:30. They're probably trying to make dinner as well. The student's sitting there with both heads, its head in both hands, or her head in both hands. That's not good for anyone. Now, then there are other students that are excelling, that it comes to them so easy that the problem with the homework, it's repetitive. They don't need to do it. They could do it in their sleep. It seems like a blunt instrument.
And that goes back to what I initially said at the beginning, is the quality and quantity and purpose of your homework. Like, there has to be differentiation. So there are children, for example, SEN, special education needs children, where homework is a challenge for them and for their parents. So again, a teacher would obviously understand that, and the expectation and the differentiation would be such that you would be not expecting that off. But where you have a good student and you know you can push them along, you would be expecting that you do push them along and that they do maximise. And see, the thing is, maybe what we don't realise at times is, if we remove homework and independent thinking from the curriculum, you know, grind schools, particularly in Dublin, people are going to grind schools to get points to get college. And I think it'll disadvantage the disadvantaged more by not having the homework policy there, or not having a positive attitude towards homework. And the question then that Michael D. Higgins was trying to say was, if we didn't do homework, we would do something more creative with our time. Well, the real issue, and maybe this is the age differentiation with their president, and I have a great respect for him. I'm not ageist in any way. I mean, look at Ian McGarvey, who's retired.
Well, you're not that far behind him. Let's put it like that.
There you go. I hope to get as live as many years and as long and health. But, you know, Ian, for example, has been a man of great vigour and energy and vision, wouldn't in any way use ageism. But I think Michael D., who's 82, has missed, or 81, will be 82. The average age in Ireland is 38. And maybe he doesn't get the technological age. Kids are spending on average 6 hours a day on screen time. And maybe what he should have said is, how could we look at this and how kids are using 6 hours of screen time more creatively? And if then they're more productive with their 6 hours on screen time, then we can look at the homework.
But I think his comments allowed educators like yourself to step in and make that type of a suggestion, you know, because I think really what he's saying is it's homework in its current form is, you know, I mean, it opens up the conversation. We're having the chat now. I just feel it's not fair. I've heard a couple of times that you and another guest earlier on talking about how, well, it's, you know, the homework's tailored to the particular students. I know parents are listening at home going, what? Not in my school, or not with my student, or whatever. Maybe it is happening. Maybe we don't realise it's happening. I don't know. I mean, that sounds aspirational, but you're saying that's what happens. The schools and teachers make sure they don't get too much homework, and that homework is tailored to the student to benefit them the best. Do you think that's really happening across the board?
It's very difficult if you have 30 kids in a class to get everybody standard. But that's where a teacher needs to be able to, as I said, differentiate. And we'd have that in this school, and I'm sure that's in every other school that ends in breadth of the country, where the teachers differentiate. I mean, our boss will send now and again an email to remind us of homework policy. Obviously, there's one or two parents phoning and saying they're not happy with this, whatever else. And then he'd respond immediately to that. And he'd always talk about that in staff meetings, that there is an onus on us as teachers to make sure, and as I say to you, if you have 9 classes a day, or even in national school, the curriculum is already so packed for the national school teachers.
Well, how much homework? How much homework is a child expected to do at night? This will then vary dependent. It won't vary. Sorry, it'll be different homework dependent on their ability or what they need help in. Like, what are they sent home with time wise for homework? Is there a target?
Yeah, well, the way it would be, see, it depends if you're talking about national school and
secondary school. Sure.
Secondary school, you have maybe only the subject 3 times a week. So you might give homework tonight for history, for example. Well, they mightn't have a history class till Wednesday. So maybe that'll be over 2 nights.
Right, I get you, yeah.
You understand? But, I mean, anything other than beyond 10, 20 minutes. Imagine just you give 10 minutes homework in your class and they have 9 periods that week or that class that day. That's an hour and a half on top of their school day. Now you're getting to the limit of being too extreme. There has to be a balance. Having said that, there is a difference for 3rd and 6th years where they're heading into exam years. And we have to be realistic about that as well, that homework should reinforce the learning and prepare them for their exams. Okay. Because education, you know, the cost of ignorance is a lot more expensive than the cost of education. Okay. And the reality is we've had decades, if not centuries, of lack of education. And when we were deprived of education, and when we got education, the opportunity to be educated, Irish people ran at it, right. And we became one of the most educated people in the world. And like the question I'm asking is really this: is the president, is he saying to the Googles and the Apples and the big pharma tech companies that are in Ireland, you know, stay here for the next 15 years, but after 15 years, we're not going to be at the
that's it. And I said that earlier on. Every action has a reaction. And if you change this, it takes a number of years for it to filter through what kind of an impact, good or bad, it would actually have. It's not just...
Are you telling these companies, don't worry about us in 15 years' time because we're not going to have our homework done? I would like to see the leader of Germany or Sweden or India suggest something like that. And I back to what I'd said originally. I think we need to have a real debate about how children are spending screen time.
Okay.
It is, and I think that if we looked at that, and that's the elephant in the room, and the challenge that parents have trying to get children off screen time and off their computers and off their technology and TikToks. This is a debate. It's a great debate.
It is, and you know what? I'll tell you what, we might do it in a panel form down the line, because I think it really is a valuable one, and I hope you'll be part of it. Dr. Joe Kelly, as always, thank you so very much. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
The 9 to Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Home to a wide range of Toyota commercial vehicles. Your perfect business partner.
New this week in Home Store and More. All artificial plants are half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price artificial plants are gone, they're gone. Also, all rugs and all 100% cotton printed duvet sets are still half price. But when all the half price rugs and all the half price 100% cotton printed duvet sets are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
The world awaits you. Make that dream your next adventure. Cruise the Caribbean. Sail from Crete to Corsica. Soak in Santorini sunsets. Dine on the shores of the Indian Ocean. Stroll through cobbled streets for hidden gems, or bring the little ones to a magical wonderland. Trust the award-winning Atlantic Travel to guide your next adventure. Step through our doorway to the world. Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny.
SuperValue makes saving money as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, we match Aldi on the products you love, like SuperValue Express Basmati Rice 250 gram, 65 cent. SuperValue Fragrance Baby Wipe 64 piece, 95 cent. 2, get thousands of special offers. And 3, money off vouchers every week on the app. SuperValue makes saving money as easy as 1, 2, 3.
At ESB Networks, we're connecting Ireland to a clean electric future. And as part of the National Smart Metering Programme, we're now installing smart electricity meters in your area. Your new smart meter will reduce the need for estimated bills, help you to manage your electricity usage more efficiently, and enable you to access smart electricity products and services. We'll contact you before your meter is installed. Find out more at esbnetworks.ie/smartmeter.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock, just a little after, in fact. Time for a news update. Good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The father of 3 children killed by their mother says they'd still be alive if Irish mental health policies were different. This day 3 years ago, Conor Dara and Carla McGinley were killed by Deirdre Morley in Newcastle, County Dublin. She was found not guilty of their murders by reason of insanity. Their Donegal-born father, Andrew, today pledged to continue campaigning for changes to mental health rules in order to prevent similar tragedies happening in the future. The PSNI are appealing for information after a shooting incident in Derry, close to the border at Bridgend. A man in his 30s was shot in the lower leg in a wooded area close to commercial premises at the junction of Coshquin Road and Whitehouse Road in the city last night. At around 9:30, he remains in hospital this morning. The PSNI are appealing for information. They say a cordon remains in place around the area at the moment. The Minister for Community Development, Heather Humphreys, has set out the details of the €50 million Community Regeneration Fund. The initiative, the first of its kind, is designed to specifically support communities across the country that have welcomed and are hosting families and citizens from Ukraine and other countries. Donegal County Council receives just over €3.1 million from the fund. That's the second highest allocation in the country after Kerry. Gardaí are reminding quad drivers that if they use them on public roads, they're subject to the same rules as all other drivers. It follows a hit-and-run collision involving a car and a quad which failed to stop at St Mary's Road, Buncrana, at 10:10 on Thursday evening last. 600 students sought help from the St Vincent de Paul Society last year, 62 of them in Donegal. The Union of Students in Ireland says it clearly shows the increased financial pressure that students are facing, particularly for families that fall just outside the threshold for grants under the SUSI system. The Health Minister says the abolition of inpatient charges at public hospitals will bring Ireland closer to universal healthcare. There's a cap of €800 a year, with charges at €80 a day. Minister Stephen Donnelly says he wants them gone by April. And a 32-year-old man is due before court in Cork following the death of another man at a hospital in the city. 89-year-old Matthew Healy died after he was attacked by another patient at Mercy University Hospital in Galway on Sunday. That man is appearing before Cork District Court shortly. Meanwhile, in response to questions from Highland Radio, Letterkenny University Hospital have confirmed that there is security at the hospital on a 24/7 basis, with 2 security guards on duty at any given time during day and night. There are the headlines. Back with headlines again at 12 noon.
Thanks, Stonewall.
Inflation pushes up building costs, so it's important to review your home insurance cover to make sure you have the right cover for your needs. Underinsurance happens where there's a difference between the value of your cover and the cost of repairing damage or replacing contents. It's a risk you can avoid. Review your home insurance policy regularly. For more, visit understandinginsurance.ie/underinsurance. Brought to you by Insurance Ireland.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Now, a chemical found in weed killer was discovered in 1 in 4 Irish people who took part in a University of Galway study. The tests for glyphosate were carried out on 68 families, including 14 families who live on farms. The substance found in weed-killing products such as Roundup and has been the subject of much controversy over potential adverse health effects. And of course, then we learned last year, didn't we, that it's still being widely used by some local authorities as well. Dr. Alison Connolly is an exposure scientist who conducted the research, and Alison joins us now. Good morning. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Good morning, Greg. Thank you for the invite.
I don't know, going into this type of research, did you have a guess or a theory as to how many people you might find traces in?
So we've been conducting these studies for nearly a decade at this stage. We have done previous studies looking at workers' exposures. And during them studies, we found that there seemed to be a background level of exposure. So we've done a small pilot study looking at 50 adults, and we found that 20% of them had some detectable levels of glyphosate. I have to say it was all very low level exposure, but we wanted to further investigate whether there'd be exposure among families. And as you said, we wanted to look at both farm and non-farm families. But the results we found in this study are quite similar to what's been found throughout Europe. So it's not a surprise that we have found some low-level exposure.
And how do you determine the level of exposure? You know, I don't know if the terminology, but like there's a half-life with stuff, I presume, when you're initially exposed as to when you pick up the low levels. You know, how do you calibrate that to know, you know, was it a low level of exposure yesterday, or was it a low level of exposure during the summer and it's worn off, or maybe you could explain that for us?
So we analyse urine samples to determine the level of glyphosate within the system. So this is called human biomonitoring. It's classed as the gold standard of chemical risk assessment for humans, and we can analyse to very sensitive levels. So the analytical method that we developed for this study measures to 0.05 micrograms per litre. So you can imagine this is like really minute levels that we measure when we measure environmental exposure. But as you said, from exposure to actually detecting it in samples, so there is a very short half-life of glyphosate in the human body. So we've done studies on this before, and we found that the half-life, so how long it takes for half the chemical to eliminate from the body, can be between 5.5 and 10 hours. So we assume that it's recent exposure when we measure these kind of chemicals, because glyphosate as well is mostly eliminated from the body. So it's not like some of the older chemicals where they were persistent and they would bioaccumulate. So it's fast eliminating, and it mostly eliminates through urine and feces.
Right. So then presumably, because I don't think this is sprayed 365 days a year, then presumably when you draw those samples or when you access those samples, if it were at different times of the year, would you expect different results?
That's very true. So you would expect maybe in spring, where a lot of spraying might go ahead, that you might find slightly elevated levels. But we tested even workers at this, and we found that when we compare it to reference values, so in the European Union, we do have guidance values for this. So for workers, an acceptable operator exposure level, and then for the general population, it's called an acceptable intake level, or an acceptable daily intake level, an ADI. And these are provided by the European Food Safety Authority. So what we usually do is we take these the concentrations, and we back calculate to what the acceptable daily intake would be, and we do a comparison. And in this study, on average, it was less than 1% of the guidance value. So that's how we determine its low level exposure as such.
So then, is this good news or bad news? I don't know. Because, I mean, you're finding it in people's system, and there are serious concerns about this. But, I mean, it's at incredibly low levels. Personally, I would like to have none of it washing around my system. So have you made... what does this mean? What have you concluded from it?
So, as you said, it is good news that it's low-level exposure. That's the first important thing. The fact that it's only in a proportion of people is also important. But the European Union, under initiatives like the Green Deal and the Farm to Fork initiatives, are trying to reduce pesticide use by 50% by 2030, and trying to have sustainable use of pesticides for a toxic-free environment. So we would still be pushing for careful use of chemicals, for workers that use chemicals, that they use other methods in their what's called integrated pest management schemes and tasks. And then, of course, the handling of chemicals at home, even. Like, people, I think, get a little bit used to chemicals, and it's surrounding us in our daily lives, an integral part of our daily lives. But people should be careful that when they use a chemical, that they read the safety instructions, that they use the appropriate equipment, whether it's gloves or a mask, and that we try to ensure that we protect certain zones. So, for example, like water courses, to have buffers between water courses to make sure that it's not leaching into our
that's what we can do at home. But I mean, we learnt the end of last year that Donegal County Council is one of the largest users of toxic weed killers in Ireland. 28 out of 31 local authorities in Ireland are still using chemical herbicides like Roundup, and we know that they have been linked to cancer, spending tens of thousands of euro on that stuff. Now, this is being sprayed on sides of roads, sides of footpaths, I presume. A lot of what you've talked about now is, people who work with it, or us being careful at home, but going around your everyday business, walking to and from the hospital or something, to be exposed by your dog brushing up against this grass or whatever it might be. How concerned are you that local authorities seem to be using the likes of Roundup so routinely still?
Well, I can't talk to the Donegal county
local authorities generally, then, let me say.
Oh, local authorities. So some local authorities, the use of it, which I've spoke to local authorities about this, some of it, to them, it feels a little bit unavoidable. So, for example, like plants that are invasive species, so giant hogweed, for example, it's a public concern because it can cause blisters, especially if children run up against it and it gets exposed to UV light. So for uses like that, yes, I think that they still use it for them kind of things, and to make sure that their roads are clear for driving to prevent any road accidents. But as I said, with the European Union initiatives now coming into play, we hope to see a 50% reduction over the next 8 years to 2030. And of course, we would always say try and use like the least amount as possible so that the risk can be as low as reasonably practical.
Okay, fascinating. It's good to know this stuff. Thanks to you and your teams for looking into it. Take care of yourself. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Dr. Alison Connolly, exposure scientist who conducted that research there. Right, let's get on to some of your comments here that have been coming in. I believe, from both being a parent and a student, that yes, there is a need for basic level homework like reading and spelling, but excessive homework is unacceptable. If a child's homework is taking hours, the basics are not being covered in the classroom. And parents, guardians are picking up the slack as everyone wants to help and see their child achieve. I think too, though, that in the environment, and we saw this through lockdown, in the environment at the kitchen table or wherever it might be, different students will perform differently in terms of motivating themselves as well. I think that also has to be factored in. Love listening to Joe's common sense approach to things. He mentioned the elephant in the room. That's the case in many situations, debates in this country, and conveniently, consciously ignored. It's often one root cause of problems or issues. Another, is there anything being done for the weight of school bags? I can barely lift my kids' bags. It's ridiculous and dangerous for their backs. It is indeed. I presume that is tied into homework. Like, is your child have access to a locker? Are they going to the locker and switching books out and leaving books behind them? Or are they impatiently running for the bus or to the car with their bag full of books? Just throwing that in there. I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but I wonder, is there an element of that there? I don't know. Is there anything to be done for the weight of school bags? I can barely lift my kids' bags. Yeah, indeed, that's the duplication. Louise, on our socials, there's no way they will cover everything that needs to be covered within school hours. It won't be any less pressure, as it will just be crammed into school hours or school hours extended. My daughter's doing her leaving cert. It's very full on. Ursula says, ditch the homework. Antoinette, let kids be kids and let them play after school. They'll have enough stress when they are older. Shirley, I've got 2 kids that do soccer, Gaelic and badminton. Doing these activities in the evenings always puts pressure, stress on the kids and parents when they have homework. We're out 5 evenings a week with these activities, and in my opinion, these activities are good for the social interaction and fitness, which is very important too. Brina, having to do homework on new topics you do at school and then have to find time as well in the evenings to be able to study for mocks and leaving certs a lot and can be stressful, and then being able to have time to yourself as well, there simply is none. Shauna says, my daughter's in first class, and if she didn't have that little bit of homework at night, I wouldn't really know where she's at, what she can do. So at a young age, homework I think is needed, but I love it when she's got no homework. I have 2 in secondary school and they don't really get homework. Shauna, do they not get homework, or are they not telling you? Tina says, scrap it. They're in school 6 to 7 hours, 5 days a week. That's enough. Home is for doing things with your family, like board games, walks, going to parks and having fun. Stress in children isn't good. So their homework should be doing things with their families. End of. Kids are getting more and more stressed, though. I wonder if everything that we're trying to do in terms of stress avoidance, I wonder, is it fully working? Bernard says, should be done away with. Years ago, children have no social life anymore. By the time they get homework done, it's nearly bedtime. It's no wonder there is that much depression in young ones. Tricia says, having been a teacher, I always found it just stressed children out. In Finland, they don't set homework and they have the best education system in the world. And 2 more. Maria says, I think they do enough in school. Maybe a little bit of reading, but nothing else. Primary school homework isn't too bad, but the children in secondary school definitely get way too much for each subject. Kids doing 6 to 7 hours in schools, then coming home to sometimes more than 2 hours of homework. It's a joke. And again, conscious that some students have quite a distance to travel to and from school too, don't they? And Samantha, finally, don't agree with it. So long enough in school. You don't go home from work and continue to work. So school should be the same. Not only do a lot of people not go home from work and continue to work, it's protected by legislation that work cannot contact them at home outside of hours. So for adults, when their working day is done, in most cases, they're actually protected constitutionally or through legislation, so they can't be contacted when they're not at work. That's what adults have. That's the protection they have. At school, we send the work home with them. Is there something to that?
The 9 to Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, home of genuine Toyota parts and accessories at Port Road, Letterkenny.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
New this week in Home Store and More. All artificial plants are half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price artificial plants are gone, they're gone. Also, all rugs and all 100% cotton printed duvet sets are still half price. But when all the half price rugs and all the half price 100% cotton printed duvet sets are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
New me, new Nissan. Life's too short. Spoil yourself.
Go on, you're worth it. With Nissans available for immediate delivery, don't let your neighbour outshine you. Call in today to find out why the Nissan range is unbeatable. With low interest rates available, it's an easy decision to start your 2023 on a good note. Visit imotors.ie or visit us in Malin or Letterkenny.
There's a gaggle of monsters you'll see around town, in every colour from bright pink to brown. And just like us, they have hopes, dreams and wishes. A new car, new windows, a holiday diving with fishes. They know just where to go for their dreams to come true. The local credit union who can help you out too. For all of your dreams that are big, small or strange, we've got you covered with our Monster Loan range. Monster Loans from the Credit Union. Imagine more. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. If you do not meet the repayments on your loan, your account will go into arrears. This may affect your credit rating, which may limit your ability to access credit in the future. Credit unions in the Republic of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Don't go anywhere. We've got some live music for you. We've got Owen Ferry. He recently released his debut song, The Way I Loved You. He's going to be performing live for us, so don't go anywhere. I pay VHI and had to pay for all x-rays and consultations. It's a small price to pay for pain-free hips. I don't know if this is a chair or my hips are on their way out, but anyway... My back is in bits. Hi, Greg. No word about security in the hospital today. Did the HSE get back to you? Yes, they have 2 security guards on at least 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Oh, are we ready to go? Do you feel relaxed?
Yeah, I do.
Are you good? All right,
yeah.
Okay. This is Owen Ferry, who's in studio with us. You've released a debut song, The Way I Loved You.
I have.
Right. Exciting?
Very excited, yeah.
All right. Tell us about your music career, when you first got your interest in music.
Just kind of when I was young, as a child, I was always just interested in music. I was always singing and around the place. And, you know, in primary school, there was a huge emphasis on music. We would always be singing, and every Christmas we would do a Christmas concert with Moya Brennan. And
so the influences, you got some great influences really early on, didn't you?
And just have so many amazing opportunities too growing up. I was a part of the Crannog, and we would do like lessons with Mairead Newini too. It was amazing to get experience and lessons from someone like that. I do piano at the DMEP with Andrina Gooch as my teacher. I'm a part of the Donegal Youth Choir, and I also do singing lessons then with Sarah Loughlin.
When did you bring the sort of keyboard stroke piano into your performances?
I started learning the piano when I was about 6.
Yeah.
And then kind of started, when I was about 13 then, I started kind of singing and playing, and I just kind of grew it on then.
And where do you perform at the moment now? I mean, obviously you've talked about the collectives that you're part of, and
yeah.
Have you performed, or do you perform as an individual?
I do, yeah. I don't do any kind of gigs of my own, but I've had so many like opportunities from Moya Brennan and Club Yaw and Leo's. Leo's Tavern in Crawley is just amazing with Club Yaw's, the opportunity just to get up on the stage.
And you've been in a few open nights as well, where you can go in and throw one or two.
Yeah, that's there, Club Yaw.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
It's just an opportunity.
Which is good grounding for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's nice just to, because you know, there will come a time where you want to be out there gigging and whatever, and it's just
definitely.
to get a feeling.
Yeah.
What's it like performing in front of strangers?
I honestly prefer performing in front of strangers because I don't know them. It's better than from in front of people I know.
So when did you start writing stuff here for yourself?
This is the very first song that I've ever written. So I wrote it started last February, and I kind of sat down with my cousin and we kind of came up with a story and just kind of put it to music. And then I left it we kind of forgot about it for a couple of months, and then came back to it in about July or August and finished it. But that's the first song I ever wrote, and now I'm kind of, more ideas are coming to me now that I've written.
But of course, as well, and I mean, like, there's an awful lot 16-year-olds have to deal with, right? But I think an awful lot of times songwriters have maybe real life living to sort of fall back on a little bit. But I mean, you have an awful lot going on in your life as a teenager as well too, so there's plenty of source information there, isn't there?
Yeah.
For you to write on. All right, shall we listen to it then?
Yeah, sure.
Are you ready to go? Okay, The Way I Loved You is the track. All right, and it's brand new. Right, whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
October 3rd. It was so quiet, no one said a word. We talked all night, no one was there. There was something in the air. We lay all night without a care. You look so perfect when you're lying there. This feeling's so right, don't leave me here. Don't leave me all alone. I'm so scared of what to say. Please stay here another day. I'd love to say that I don't care, but I'm not really fine. By now I've realized that the only heart that's breaking is mine. And as time goes on, you'll find that it's true, that I'll never love anyone like the way I loved you. Flash forward a couple months, it's pretty clear to see that you've moved on. You've gone away and found someone new, and I'm still dreaming of you. I can't sleep, I'm driving myself insane. Why did you have to leave and make my whole world change? You said it's better for us, for me and you. Now I'm sitting here and I don't know what to do, and I'm so scared of what to say. Please stay here another day. I love to say that I don't care, but I'm not really fine. By now I've realized that the only heart that's breaking is mine. And as time goes on, you'll find that it's true, that I'll never love anyone like the way I loved. You know that I will come behind you, picking up the parts of all the plot twists of our love story that fell apart. And as time goes on, you'll find that it's true, that I'll never love anyone like the way I loved you. And I hope that when you're lying next to him, you're thinking about me. With all we did and all we've ever been, I'm haunted by the memories. 'Cause I'd love to say that I don't care, but I'm not really fine. By now I've realized that the only heart that's breaking is mine. And as time goes on, you'll find that it's true, that I'll never love anyone like the way I loved. You know that I will come behind you, picking up the parts of all the plot twists of our love story that fell apart. And as time goes on, you'll find that it's true, that I'll never love anyone like the way I loved. And as time goes on, you'll find that it's true, that I'll never love anyone like the way I loved you.
Well done. That's lovely, Owen. It really is very good. It's as good as anything out there at the moment, I think.
Oh, thank you so much.
What I mean by that, it's about getting people to hear it.
Definitely.
Isn't that really where success comes from. Now, I mean, I think you know that's a good song.
Oh yeah, thank you so much.
No, but you know it yourself. Now it just is getting to the right ears.
100%.
You know, getting the radio play,
and
all that type of stuff. You drew a bit of inspiration from Taylor Swift's songs. What is about?
Definitely.
I mean, her story's amazing, really.
Oh, 100%.
It's an amazing story all around. But is it her writing style, her delivery, or what?
I just think the way that she puts her lyrics in her songs and the stories that she puts forward in her songs are just amazing. She's a genius,
and that helps you then with structuring, presumably, and storytelling.
100%.
Brilliant stuff. All right, and it's a cracking ballad. Do you see, your next few releases when you get down that road as ballads, or can you see yourself doing a bit up tempo stuff, or what?
Definitely love to try to do something a bit more
now,
up tempo, but I don't know, try different things.
Yeah,
is what I want to do.
Well, you don't have to pigeonhole yourself. Just see where it takes you next. Yeah, 100%. It's very exciting. All right, what do you want to do with this track now? Obviously, you've got it released. If you got it out and streaming, you've put a video together actually, which I think is really important. A lot of people maybe think, who needs a video now? But I think you do.
Yeah, I'm so happy that I got the video and the opportunity to do the video.
And did you come up with the ideas for the video as well?
No, the people that actually did the video with a company from Derry called By Elephant, and their ideas just was in the park was just so simple, and I just loved it. It was
Works.
very
good. Okay, cool. A lot of reaction coming in. Wow, beautiful. Well done, Owen. Fantastic. For people watching you all over the place, as well as your local support. All right. So if people want to watch the video, YouTube, is that it?
Facebook, actually.
Facebook, okay.
It will be on YouTube eventually. I haven't gotten around to
Facebook's better because the adverts on YouTube, if you don't have premium, it's kind of like...
Exactly.
I don't want to read digital books. Stop telling me to buy bloody subscriptions to digital books.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so Facebook's the place to go.
Owen Ferry Music.
Owen Ferry Music, EOIN, Ferry Music on Facebook. You'll see the video there. It was shot in St. Columbus Park in Derry.
It was.
All right, and the track itself, have you got it up on the streaming platforms?
It is on Spotify, Apple Music, and the rest.
And that's exciting. Because obviously
you
want that's obviously it's great to have your local support and what have you, but if someone in Indonesia sort of plays it 10 times,
I was looking at
the
last year, all the countries that it's been listened to. It was crazy. It was Thailand and Indonesia and Australia.
It's so exciting, isn't it? Because you don't actually get that feedback from Facebook either.
Oh, definitely, because you can't see.
Yeah, so to get that, it's all very exciting. All right, well, listen, you're gonna have to keep momentum going now, because if that does as well as it should, people are going to want new stuff for you really quickly. So you can't wait another 16 years.
I know.
And you mentioned you wrote that with your cousin.
I did, yeah.
Are you sure about that now?
Yeah.
Because, Taylor Swift has had her problems with people claiming to have written her songs.
Oh, I know. No, definitely. Yeah, I did.
They've got a credit and all, yeah?
Yeah, they did. Okay. My cousin Aaron and Eve.
I'm only joking. All right, brilliant. Okay, and maybe a few gigs over the summer? Or are you going to hold off on that for a bit?
No, well, I'm performing in the Mary from Dunlow Festival.
Oh, brilliant.
In July, and hopefully I'll have a good few other stuff coming up too.
Great stuff. And we've a brilliant competition running here at the moment. I hope you enter something into it, Owen. I would encourage all our guests. I mean, we've had 2 young bands in, and you as a young artist in, and genuinely both songs they could go on to any. I think they could go on to any playlist.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm not just saying that either. Sometimes I do just say it, but not on this occasion. All right, anything you want to add, Owen, before we wrap up, before we take a break?
I'm happy enough. That's perfect.
Good stuff, because you have an A4 sheet of paper there. And
I know.
I was thinking there's something he needs to say.
Oh, I just usually forget everything, so I needed to remind myself what to say.
I think you've done it all. And I presume you want to thank people for supporting you too.
100%. I'm so grateful.
All right. It's a fantastic journey that you're on. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much.
And I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Okay, how good was that? I think very good is the unanimous cry back towards the radios and Facebook and YouTube. That's Owen Ferry. That's his debut song, The Way I Loved You. He's just 16 years of age. Not that that matters, but still, I think it makes it all the more impressive. And the track was recorded at Full Tilt Studios with Tommy and the crew. And the music video, you can watch that on Owen Ferry Music. Go on to Facebook and give the page a like and a share as well. Again, it's one of those things, share the song, and you help with the growth of Owen's career and getting more ears and eyes on his music. All right, great stuff. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts. Get them into us on anything you want to discuss.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
From the morning routines to cosy family moments, Grant has been bringing comfort to homes for over 45 years. With our biofuel-compatible condensing boilers, heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home now and into the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.eu.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
2023 is officially here. And whether you're turning over a new leaf or starting right where you left off, who doesn't want to shrink their grocery bill at this time of year? Dunnes Stores Double Savers does exactly that. Save in the aisle with loads of your favourite products at everyday low prices. Then save again at the till with our 10 off 50 and 5 off 25 grocery vouchers. Double Savers from Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next qualifying grocery shop.
Our wide range of 2023 Skodas are going fast. This is the sound of the Breen family getting their powerful diesel Kodiaq. And this is fully charged Fiona, driving away in her electric Skoda Enyaq. And this is the sound of someone who didn't place their order in time. Order your 2023 Skoda today, before it's too late. Skoda, made for Ireland.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
Are you interested in a career in financial services? John F. Lowery Financial Services are expanding, and we are looking for administrators, trainee financial advisors and experienced financial advisors to join our team. With competitive packages on offer for all positions, why not check out our Facebook or LinkedIn page for more information? If you are highly motivated, enthusiastic and want to work for an award-winning broker, we want you. To apply, send a CV to lisa@jfl.ie on or before the closing date of the 29th of January. John F. Lowery and Associates Limited, trading as John F. Lowery Financial Services, are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. John F. Lowery Financial Services is an equal opportunity employer.
Right, Glen have expressed disappointment with the GEA's decision not to review Kilmacrud Croke's 16th man on the pitch at the end of the All-Ireland final unless they specifically object to it. And I think there's sort of two laws the GEA can evoke on this one, really. One where they could intervene and one where they could rely on the losing team, in this case, to make a complaint. So we wanted to get the views of an expert in this regard. So we got Eamon McGee, former intercounty footballer and columnist. Eamon, thanks for your time this morning. Good to have you on again. Eamon, can you hear me? No, Eamon can't hear me just at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll kick him out and bring him back in again. That normally does the trick. 086 60 25,000, by the way, if you want to get involved in that conversation, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Eamon, can you hear me? No, we aren't getting Eamon just at the moment here. Right, I'll come back to that just in a second. Back to the weed killer there. It was never proven that Roundup is linked to cancer. In fact, they admit it's probably not linked to cancer. Well, I wouldn't like to roll the dice on that one. Hi, Greg. Great show as usual. Any idea what I can do about a neighbour's dog that barks all day long, non-stop? One neighbour now has 4 dogs, and they also wander about into everyone's garden. We live in a rural area. I don't know how to go about saying it to them, as I don't want to fall out with them, but it's beyond a joke at this stage. I'm not really quite sure what you can do in that regard. We get different advice in at different times. But anyone out there, a rural area? Hi, Eamon. A rural. I'm just chatting to you as if I've just bumped into you in the street.
Sorry,
but listen, good stuff.
I don't know.
Good to have you on.
Here this morning. How's things?
It's great. It's good to have you guys filling in there. So yeah, this is a tough one, isn't it? As it relates to this football match, because at the moment the victory is arguably, there's an asterisk there. If you lost, you don't want to sort of say, we're sore losers and maybe we wouldn't have won the game. And you kind of look to the GEA to intervene, and they're kind of evoking one rule whereby they put it on Glen to lodge a complaint. It's a messy one after what was a really good game. Eamon, what's your take on it all?
It was a brilliant game, and I think that needs to be pointed out first. Played in great spirits, and it was probably, it was as good a final as we've had in a long time now. But the thing about it is that, first of all, Kilmacud didn't knowingly break the rules here, and that should be pointed out, that it was just an error, be it administrating or by the referees or whatever. It's been an error by them, and it shouldn't be up to, I think, the leadership shown by the GA. Now, I was under the impression that the GA's hands were tied in terms of can they putting it on the club, but supposedly, and you kind of don't want to quote the great Joe Brawley now, but he's more knowledgeable in these things in terms of the rule book and the statutes and all that, and he says that there is a rule clearly defined that allows for the GA to take leadership and offer be it the whatever happens from the appeal, be it the replay, the fine, or handing the results to Glen Moran. I don't think that would happen. I think the replay would be the probable outcome if there was an appeal. And I've said there's a kind of, it's a grey area in terms of the appeals, the appeals process in sports, and we know more about the GA. It's definitely a grey area. There's at times where you should appeal, and there's times where you're probably better off not appealing, and you've got to judge that whole area. And I think this is a situation for me where it's a black and white issue that because Glen, they're a rural club, they don't know, they've gone through a golden generation, they've got to an All-Ireland final, don't know will this come again, and there's always going to be what ifs, and maybe because there was 16 men on the pitch, whether he had an influence or not, there were 16 men on the pitch on a crucial time of the game, and you have to acknowledge it.
Yeah, and it is a tough one, isn't it? Because there's a great deal of pride in the sport as well, and you don't want to either be seen as a sore loser, or you don't want a tarnished victory. Would a replay resolve this for you, do you think? Do you think that would be a fair conclusion to this, or maybe get both teams and the GA into a room and thrash it out? I don't know. It's hard.
Well,
it's a
by
tough
right,
one.
it shouldn't be on both teams. Like,
Yeah,
if there is a window here for the GA and to show a bit of leadership instead of putting it on, like Glen, they're a group of volunteers sitting up there in Derry at the minute, and they have such a decision to make. And it's a hard decision, and it's a disgrace that it's been put on them. And the appeal, probably, like the fine, it's going to be a slap on the wrist. There's nothing really going to come from it. It would be totally unfair for the game to be awarded to Glen and take it out of Kilmacud's hands. So the appeal is probably the soundest option here. And
the replay,
the replay, would be the soundest option and the likeliest outcome, and it would suit both parties. And I just think it's too much at stake for what the lads have put into it, and what's at stake in terms of the history. It's a long life. You to think on the what ifs, and you possibly if there
and the more I speak to excellent GA fellas, or even those that are towards the end of the career, it really does stick around, doesn't it? Like you're not just saying
something like that sticks around.
around.
We were down in Ingreenion watching the Jimmies win a matches play, which was brilliant, by the way. And we got talking afterwards, and one of the big topics of discussion was the final we lost in 2014 and how it still sticks in the craw, like, and that's nearly 8 years ago, and it's still times where just stops you and think, can't believe. Because when you put something so much of you into football or into this aspect of your life, and it doesn't work out, it's a big blow to take. And I think them Glen boys will be the same. They've lost an All-Ireland final, and there's a great generation there in Glenmara, and there's a lot of good players, and not saying that they won't get there again, but they might not. And it's just not a chance that you want to take with the what ifs.
So your preferred outcome to this would be that the GEA shows leadership here and looks after the integrity and reputation of the game. Let's face it, it's charged with doing that, and it orders a replay. But then, is it possible then that Crokes could appeal that? We don't really know what they're saying, because the GEA could suggest an appeal, and then the winners, although with an extra man at a potentially pivotal part of the game with a 45.
I think, Kilmacud, if you're talking about if they would appeal, I think that it's fairly black and white. That there was 16 players on the field, and there was actually 17, but the seventh, there was one of the players just on the periphery of the field and probably wasn't involved in the game, and he didn't have an influence on things now. And I was actually listening to something on the sports this morning, and the manager that was involved with Kilmacud's had a similar. He was on the other side of this, that the opposition team he played against in 2009 put on an extra sub, so they were only allowed 3 subs at the time, and they took on a 4th sub, and that team appealed it, and they got through. They lost the fixture, and they got through to this. So the manager knows of the Kilmacud manager has history, so he's got to hold the hands up too.
Right. Okay. So you favour GEA calling a replay. That if you had a shout, that's yours.
Yeah, that would be my shout, and I think the GA just need to step up here and show and take it out of Glenn's hands, and take it out of, take the pressure off Kilmacud too. They're probably under a bit of pressure here themselves. And
maybe go best to 3 or something.
Yeah, maybe go best of 3. And no, I think that the GA needs to step up here. There's an opportunity, and from what I understand, it's in the rule books that they have the opportunity to do this now.
Brilliant stuff, Eamon, as always. Thank you so very much indeed. That's Eamon McGee there, former inter-county footballer and columnist as well, of course.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
The TUI Live Happy sale is here, with savings of up to €250 per booking. Free child places, even in the school summer holidays. Plus low booking deposits from €50 per person. With holidays to suit all budgets. Relax and get booking. TUI Live Happy. Offer T's and C's apply.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half price sale. Get up to 50% off all tiles. Wood flooring, bathware, cladding, everything's reduced. Tiles from only $8.99 per square yard, and wood flooring from only $11.99 per square yard. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half price January sale ends Sunday.
Get ready for Ardra's first festival of 2023 from Friday the 3rd to Monday the 6th of February. Their country and western festival kicks off with Patsy Kavanagh and Shuni Cramsey in concert on Friday. Afternoon entertainment with Gypsy Rovers, and on Saturday night, Elaine Boyle and many more acts. The Country and Western Festival, Ardra, St. Bridget's Bank Holiday Weekend. Lots of accommodation available. See ardra.ie. Not to be missed, ABBA Sensations comes live to Anchurch Hotel Gidor on January the 27th and the Villa Rose Hotel Ballybuffet on January the 28th. Tickets €20, available online at Eventbrite or from hotel reception.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
All right, a cloudy day with light rain or drizzle at times, mainly dry. Mainly about the coast. Some patchy mist or fog lingering in more sheltered parts too. Mild with highest temperatures this afternoon, 9 to 11 degrees with light southwest winds. A little fresher along the coast. Can't wait for the summer. A, weather, hopefully. B, longer days. C, not having to buy coal and oil and every other bloody thing costs a fortune. And D, maybe our electricity bills might go down. Who's to say? We're talking about electricity bills with Louise now. Hi, Louise.
Morning, Greg.
Right, okay. So you, like a lot of people, I think, thought a smart meter meant the end of sending in your meter readings. Is that the case, or do we know, or what's the story? What's your situation?
Well, I have looked up Electric Ireland, and it does say if you have a smart meter, you don't need to send in a reading. And needless to say, when I moved into the house I'm in now currently, I moved in about 2.5 years ago. I had the smart tariff set up, and it was going fine. And then I changed in to get my bills in monthly back in August, I would say, just to try and kind of help with the funds. And my meter readings haven't been, obviously it hasn't been reading. I've been getting estimated bills in since then, and I reached out to Electric Ireland on it, and they said just send in your meter readings, but obviously I didn't have the wee key to open the door, so I just didn't bother because I thought, oh, it'll be fine. And then last week there was a guy going around the doors to get me to sign up to a new supplier, and I was like, yeah, do you know what, I'll do it to see if it helps. And he went out to open the door of the meter box, and my smart meter wasn't working. It was completely blank. There was water getting into it. So I rang up to Electric Ireland and got them to send a fault request form over to the ESB and to tell them that it was water damaged. You know, it was pretty, I suppose, dangerous. And it took the ESB a week to come out then. They were only out yesterday to put on a new smart meter for me. So I don't know now. I have to wait now. They said maybe between 8 and 10 weeks for them to sort out whether or not I owe them money or maybe they owe me money, which I would nearly said with
I think I could put a guess in on that one. Can you imagine getting a refund? And you know what? They wouldn't refund you. They'd give you a credit on your bill if it were ever to work in your favour. So really, you thought, I have a smart meter in. This is all happening automatically. But the truth be told, it may never have happened because the meter wasn't working.
Yeah. So I suppose what I'm trying to say, a lot of people maybe are thinking the same as me and don't have the wee key to open it, and it wouldn't do any harm maybe to check to make sure to see if the meters are working, because they are supposed to send the reading across straight away. But for me, I did say to the guy on the phone last week on Electric Ireland, I was like, should this not have been triggered by them, that they're not getting meter readings from my meter for months? But he couldn't answer me. So
when you opened the door, the smart meter was blank. What did you read? What did you get the meter reading off then?
There was no meter reading. I couldn't change suppliers then last week because of that. It's a hold up now on that because I have to get the meter. Obviously, it was replaced yesterday, and now for Electric Ireland, it can take 8 to 10 weeks for them to sort out now, I suppose, the reading on it
they're not
compared to the last reading they got.
Yeah, but they're not going to... yeah, exactly. So they're going to have to take a reading for the next month and then apply it retrospectively. But if they take a meter reading for January, right, where it's dark and I don't know how you heat your house, maybe you have electric heaters or something like that. It's there.
Air to water.
Air to water, right? You don't want your January bill to apply to the end of August and September, but hopefully they work that out. But you know what I mean? You'd have been using much less power in some of those months than you might this month.
Yeah, exactly. So I could be getting a huge bill in now, which really, who needs that this time of year? But it's just, I suppose, just for people to be aware that they should maybe check in on the meters just to make sure that they're not getting water damage, because I don't know how the water gets in, because that door was never open since I moved in. It seems airtight, but the wee board at the back of, kind of the back of the meter boxes, there's like a plasterboard or something. Yeah. It is completely drenched with water. I mean, the guy took the smart meter off yesterday. The water was dripping out of it, so it could have been very serious.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly, electricity. And come here, that water pump that you have, is it good?
The air-to-water heating system, it's good, yeah, and I have no problems with it. The house is always warm, but as I say, I suppose with me turning the heating up over the winter and the bill's been estimated, I could be getting a huge bill in now.
Keep us updated, Louise, because I think it's unfair if your January or half of January, half of February assessment is then used to apply to July, August, or however long you've been paying. Yeah. Believing that you were saving electricity, for example. You know what I mean? You might have tried to save electricity and you've been wasting your time effectively if they don't do it fairly. All right, Louisa, keep us updated on that. Thanks for that. Lovely to chat to you.
Will do, Greg.
Bye-bye. Okay, that's Louise there. Caller says there should be no homework, schoolwork in school, home time, family time and rest. Method in teaching should be fun in school so it stays as fun memories, not bureaucratic teaching. Can you give a big shout out to all the team at Kenny Hospital Emergency Department for excellent and fast service I received on Monday night when I had to attend with an injury. Thank you. Well done, team. It's very much appreciated. I left school because I couldn't handle the homework. Wasn't home until 5 p.m. Then had to start homework. I wasn't able for half of it. Then dreaded the next day, the big row in class, the detention. I just threw in the towel and left. Why is the City West not one of the top news stories in Ireland today? Why are Irish people hiding the mayhem and destruction and property that these immigrants are causing? Why is it a big secret? And why is the name of the man who murdered see, now, I'm not going to read that because what happens here is everything that's wrong, people are trying to put on immigrants, okay? Which I understand where that's coming from. The City West, you're on about the fight, the Gardaí being called there, that's widely reported in the media. Like, I think some people don't sort of access the mainstream media and then wonder why things aren't on it when they are and maybe they don't hear. As it relates to every other crime, well, let's just wait and see. I'm not really quite sure. I'm not really quite sure who's responsible for that. We'll get a name at some point. Then they go on to say, what is going on in our beautiful country and why are we letting strangers take advantage of it? I don't know. I mean, certain strangers we love, millions of them coming in every summer, and we take them for every penny they have as holiday makers. I suppose it just depends on where the strangers are or who they are and where they come from. It seems. What's wrong with our government ministers? It's only a few weeks ago that Micheál Martin said he had total confidence in the Minister for Health. Why don't they listen to the ordinary people of this country? And if they've got a brain at all, they will reorganise the HSE from the top down. I've said it before, and until that happens, there'll be no change in the way hospitals are managed. Please God, there'll be no more horrible things to happen like that happened in Cork. That comes in from Anne. On to the football issue. If Joe Brolly says the match has to be replayed, it must be replayed. Okay. Another, the team knows the rules. 16 men, they should be disqualified. I don't think they knew the rules at the time. There was a double substitution. I suspect one of the players didn't realise he was due to be subbed out. End of the match, heat of the moment. It happens, but there has to be consequences even if something's an accident sometimes, doesn't there? I live in an estate and a dog is left outside in a garden surrounded by a fence all day long. This dog is barking because it's lonely. Both owners are at work and we too are torn about what to do about it because we don't want to fall out with the neighbours, but it's cruel. Is it cruel? Is a dog outside lonely, is that cruel or is it annoying? Let us know. What do you think? Barking dogs, Greg, we're in the same boat, but it's got to a stage where I'm going to call the ISPCA because it's simply not fair in the dog. Maybe people got dogs during lockdown. You know, people think it's a great idea. I think we've all been that soldier at one time or other. But the reality is when you go back to work or when your life changes or if you have a child or money gets tight, you know, priorities change, don't they? In the interest of sportsmanship, there should definitely be a replay of the Glen game. All right, thanks for that. Last year, I was playing in a golf competition. It was a team event. At the second tee box, we realised that we teed off from the wrong tee on the first hole. The difference was only about 2 metres and was no advantage. However, because we breached the Duke of Golf, we had to disqualify ourselves from the competition. So it should be the same with the Club All-Ireland final. Kilmacrud should be disqualified. What happens afterwards is up to the rule enforcers. Greg, only if the summer job wages goes over €6,000. Yeah, that's in relation to it affecting your Susie grant. I know, but it shouldn't. I know people have accidentally gone over, is all I'm saying. Why can't students take advantage of online learning like what they've done in lockdown? But why should they be deprived of going to Letterkenny or Sligo or Dublin or Galway? Why should they have to learn from home because we can't get a system right that allows them to learn in college, to have that experience is part of their growth? GEA is a disgrace, can't stand on their own and make a decision. Rules are rules, either use them or scrap them. All right, okay, no sympathy there. Greg, what happened in this country with all the rapes, men and women, knife attacks in hotels, worrying times? Firstly, one of those rapes that you talk of never happened, the one in Dublin. Secondly, unfortunately, and we really need to think for ourselves here, very tragically, open up a newspaper, open it up any year. Unfortunately, women have been treated badly by Irish men for a very, very, very long time. There is nothing new. Maybe get our own house in order as well as look at what else needs to be done. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, I don't want to insert myself in that debate because it's not really up to me, and I don't make decisions. I just think we need to make sure that we're not scared into thinking a certain way by maybe people with their own ulterior motives, who's to say. Anyway, but listen, keep the calls and conversations going. 08660 25,000. Have a lovely Tuesday the 24th of January. We're back with you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Looking forward to it already. Thanks to Caroline, who researched and produced. Stay tuned. John Breslin's coming up very shortly for you around the Northwest.
The 9 to Noon Show, brought to you